I'd be able to get up around 7 or 8, something like that. So, but yeah, it's a process.
Who's better playing poker?
Well, Kevin can never bluff me again after this. So I
Good point.
That's perfect. Yeah. Kevin, you lost your edge. You lost your edge by this now, right?
I did. I can't. Yeah. I mean, basically any pot we're in, he's going to win if we get to the river. So.
That's fantastic. All right. Now, this is something, again, June 3rd was the transplant. David K. goes in around 5. Kevin goes in a little bit later that morning. And then both of you, it takes a while, obviously, but what was the first question, David K., you asked when you came out of it?
I mean, I was told I was asked that I asked, how's Kevin doing?
You have no idea.
I don't know if that's
Kevin,
true or not.
Kevin, what was the first question? Okay, so your first question was, David?
Yeah, how's Kevin doing?
Kevin, what was your first question when you came out of whatever the drugs were?
Well, I remember mine, and it was, how is David?
How?
I asked how he was doing, how David was doing.
Not how you were doing, not how the kidney was, like, I know it's going to take, but.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, no, I mean, I wanted to know if he was okay, because, I mean, you never know. I mean, he's back there, you never know what could happen during surgery. And so when I came out and I was in recovery, that's the first question I asked, because I wanted to make sure that he was okay.
So where are you at in your recovery right now?
So I went to a transplant appointment.
I'm a little closer to you now.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
3-2. Fly ball, left center field. Well hit, back at the wall, and the longest World Series game in history has come to an end. A mighty blast by Max Muncy. The Dodgers are back from the dead. They win it 3-2. They move back to within 2 games to 1 in the 2018 World Series.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Un elevado al izquierdo, cuidado en la barda, corren los jardineros, salta, se va la bola, se va la bola, se fue la bola. Máximo Muncy la saca del parque, despiertan los Dodgers.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Muncy flies one in the air to left center. Back at the wall, and it's gone! It's over! Muncy, a walk-off home run to win Game 3 in the 18th. Night.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We will have baseball. It is official. Some local school districts shutting down some of their workouts, at least for the next few days. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, I'm David Smoke. Deontay Epps is with us. Amelia Myers has done some work with us on one of the graphics that's been put up on SicEm365 Radio on Twitter, along with our timelines, and, of course, Colt Barber, Brian Etheridge, and Ashley Hodge behind the scenes as well. Hope you've had a really good day. Couple of things to get to. Baseball will start July 23rd and 24th. Teams report July 1st. 60-game schedule. We kind of knew that. And, of course, 5 playoff teams from each league, DH in both leagues. Finally, they have at least crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and there will be baseball, barring any shutdown between now and the end of July.
Oh, it's great. I'm happy that they are. I mean, it's going to create some labor tension, And we'll talk to Max about all that here in a few minutes, Max Muncy on the show. But I do think that it's good that they're doing it, and I hope that it works out, and I hope that they don't have to stop. I hope that we can actually watch some baseball, even though it's 60 games. It's going to be super interesting. I also like the DH in both leagues. I'm going to say it right now. If pitchers aren't going to get good at hitting, let's not make them hit.
Yeah, we can kind of identify the less than a handful of guys that are actually capable up the plate. More often than not, we highlight, this pitcher can actually hit pretty well, but the majority of them don't. And it's almost an automatic out when they're up there. But, yeah, I know there's some purists that don't like the idea of, pitchers hitting, being taken away. But that's just kind of what they have to do to make this work, and I hope that it works. I'm glad baseball's back, but I hope that it works and there's not too many interruptions. As we'll get to, there are a lot of cancellations happening once again. I noticed our governor just came out here in the last few minutes and talked about how we've hit 5,000 new cases again today. So that continues on to escalate. And, we'll see how easily they're able to maneuver through, but hopefully they can.
Well, it's interesting because Globe Life Field will finally be active.
Yeah.
They built this gorgeous stadium. It's indoor. A lot of people have compared it to Minute Maid. I'm sure there'll be something similar, no different than any stadium. There's always some things you take from one or the other. They get to play at Globe Life Field. They'll start their workouts there July 1st, and possibly, they'll be the season starts July 23rd. And they'll play the Rangers, will play the American League West and the National League West. Mm-hmm. So the Dodgers, the Padres, etc., and the Rangers play their own division as well. We'll see what happens there. We'll have, by the way, Dan Lust, a sports law attorney, will join us at 4 to kind of go over a lot of the maneuvering between the Players Association and the owners and what the negotiations may have been like or were like. Midway had a student-athlete test positive for COVID. They have shut down strength and conditioning instruction for the rest of the week, and they will perform a deep cleaning on the facility. Letter from Brad Shelton to parents went out late last night. I got a text from him, and I just told him, I said, hey, good luck with this. And he would say, thanks, man. We got to just hopefully be able to kind of push through. Waco High, China Spring, and I know there's maybe others. They've all stopped, at least for now, their workouts. Ed Love, the AD at Waco High, first year as the AD there, will join us today at the bottom of the hour at 3:30. And some of these, University High, of course, as well, some of this is proactive because of the numbers that you just mentioned, Craig, not just in Texas, but also McLennan County up a tad as well.
Well, my niece is sitting currently awaiting the results of her test because she's been sick this week. And she works at a restaurant, so, and she wears a mask all the time. But, I don't know if it's from work or if it's from her social life. But we'll see.
Yeah, good luck with that. China Spring will hope to get back to working out on July 6th. So that's going to be a little bit over just a week. But for the next few days, you'll probably see some other school districts. And I'm sure there are others. Those are the ones that we have been told about.
Yeah, I just wonder how this is going to work. I would much rather schools be proactive in, for example, China Spring, they had one person test positive, and so they're saying, hey, we're shutting it down and deep cleaning and doing all of that. But, if we're like this and the numbers are skyrocketing here in Texas like they are, 5,000 new cases again, that means just in the last 2 days, that's 10,000 new cases. That means in the last 3 days, that's 15,000 plus new cases. Those are numbers that, regardless of how you feel about the virus and its lethalness or whatever, those are still alarming numbers. And it just makes me wonder, if they're having to shut down workouts now, what's this going to look like in about a month and a half when they really do have to work out to get ready for a season? Where are we? And that's the question everybody has is where are we going to be?
And then maybe we're getting that now, and so in a month from now it gets better, or perhaps, as you mentioned, it could get worse. Brooks Koepka has withdrawn from the Travelers Championship, so has Webb Simpson. Koepka's caddy tested negative Monday, positive, though, yesterday. And that was after, remember, Graham McDowell's caddy tested positive, I believe it was on Monday, Ken Comboy. And so there's 2 or 3 players in the PGA Tour, the Travelers Championship. They have pulled out of that event. New York City Marathon had been pushed back to November 1st. It has now been officially canceled because of COVID. Malcolm Brogdon tests positive for coronavirus. He says he plans to join the team in Orlando. He's dealing with the positive test but said he does expect to join. He's feeling better and would like to join the team and the bubble in Orlando. And the NFL telling that there's a possibility that there might be tarps on the lower rows of seats, allowing teams to sell signage to local sponsors based on the season tickets or the amount of people, if in fact fans are allowed to go and watch the games. Yesterday, Major League Baseball, after this long and excruciating back-and-forth delay, agreed that there will be a season at the end of July, and training camps open up July 1st. Max Muncy, Dodgers All-Star, former Baylor stud, joins us now on SicEm365 Radio. Max, I'm sorry, you want to take a break?
I want to run this liner.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's what you told me to bring. Here's Paul, been working on this real quick liner. Go ahead.
This segment on Baylor Athletics is brought to you by Richard Car Motors, the people you can count on. Right now, during these difficult times, count on us for great prices, award-winning service, including auto body and our safe practices. Richard Car Motors, supporting the Waco community. Baylor and SicEm365 Radio. Waco, Texas can count on Richard Car Motors.
Maximum Muncy!
Man, I almost screwed up all your production work on that, and I basically did. We're now joined by Dodgers All-Star, former Baylor All-Conference player, Max Muncy. Max, are you relieved, frustrated, angry, bitter? How do you sum up just the fact this is finally over and there will be a season?
Excited. I think that's the only word you can use is excited. You know, we've been waiting for this all year pretty much. Ever since we lost last year, we've been waiting for this day to come, and it looks like it might finally be around the corner. Hopefully nothing else can happen. Nothing else happens, but we're excited.
How much excitement is just to get back to see your teammates again that you haven't really seen that much in all this time?
Yeah, it'll be exciting. It's being in the clubhouse and being around those guys. It's something you don't really get in any other setting out there. It's something we've all been missing. We have a group chat with everybody that we've been trying to, try and stay in touch with everybody. It's just not the same. So everyone's excited to get back to the field, get back to work, and we're excited to see what we can do this year.
Max, before the announcement that there was going to, in fact, be a season, I know there was a lever that Major League Baseball could pull all along to force a season of sorts, but just where were you? Did you think that this was eventually going to happen, that you guys were eventually going to be out there, or were you starting to have some doubts?
I was always holding out hope. This is one of those things where it's, I didn't want to not be a season, what for my life. It's a lifelong dream to play baseball. I get the chance to do it. I don't want to miss out on any more opportunities than I already have. So I was holding out hope for it, and now that we got it, it's just I'm ready to get going.
Max, July 1st is apparently when everyone will begin workouts again. The game will start like 3 weeks or so later. Because you already had spring training before it was shut down, is that enough time, you feel like, or do you even need much time to get ready? You're so juiced up to go play.
I honestly don't know. And I don't think if anyone else tells you that they know the answer to that, they're lying, because this has never happened before. So no one really knows, what to do to prepare for it. It's just, with the time frame we have, and we got to make the most of it to make sure we're ready to play. Cause, it's not the marathon we usually get where you can go through your ups and downs. You kind of have to come out firing right away.
Max, it's only 60 games, and some guys get hot early. Some guys, it takes them 60 games to get into it. How do you feel like everybody will have to adjust to that? Pitchers, hitters, everybody.
I don't know. It'll be interesting. It's as a pitcher, I'd imagine it's you're not trying to distance yourself for the long run. You're trying to just go out there and treat every game like a playoff start, because you really can't afford to have one slip up at all. It might put you in a hole, and with only 60 games, there's not a whole lot of time to let things iron out on its own.
What's your offseason consisted of, both baseball and non-baseball related? Have you kept yourself busy?
Just spending time with family that we don't usually get. It has been kind of nice. This is usually a time that we spend, away from our families. We're gone for, a big chunk of the year. So just getting a little extra time at home, it's been nice. But at the same time, working out as much as I can when it comes to baseball stuff. And trying to make sure that I'm ready, that whatever season did come calling, I'd be ready to go.
This has been a drawn-out process from the shutdown through negotiations. Once you start practicing and once you start playing, does everyone forget about some of the anxiety or some of the finger-pointing going on between the association or the owners? Does that leave the building, or so to speak, the field, while you play your games this year?
I honestly have no idea. That's something that we'll just have to see how it plays out. But I know everyone was wanting to get the season back, and now that we've got it back, there's only one focus, and that, at least from our standpoint, there's only one focus, and that's going out there and trying to do everything we can to win and bring home a title.
As a lifelong Red Sox fan, this next question is going to kill me to ask, but I got to know. You guys have David Price and Mookie Betts coming onto your team. That's got to be just super exciting for a roster that's already loaded.
Yeah, we were really excited to see what was going to happen before everything shut down, and everyone was happy with what we were seeing in spring training out of both of the guys, and not just on the field stuff, off the field stuff as well. Just the leadership they're bringing into the clubhouse. They make a huge difference, and now we're going to be extremely excited to see what they can do and help us in this short sprint that we'll have of the season.
Max, what's this been like to be a part of the Dodgers organization and be knocking on the door, a competitive team year in and year out, a team that's going to be mentioned as far as the better odds for the World Series? You've been on and done interviews before talking about how great it is to be a Dodger, but to be a part of an organization that's such in the mix and adding players when you've already got a lot of star players like a Betts, just what's that like as a player?
It's fun. Every day you show up to the field, you know that you have an extremely good chance of winning, and you don't ever have to worry about, guys being there that are worried about themselves or worried about something other than winning. Everyone in that clubhouse is there for one reason, that's to win. They don't care about any of the other objectives. When you have a group like that, it just makes showing up to the field really, really fun. You can't wait to get there, and, that's how everyone feels. You
are, of course, from Baylor, and Steve Rodriguez, now the head coach. Steve Smith is at Auburn. Paul, did he move from Auburn? Is he now somewhere else?
Yeah, he's
coaching at another school now at Tennessee. But yeah. Your thoughts about what Baylor meant to you and how that helped you kind of structure your life to who you are today, and also through the early part of your career following college.
No, I wouldn't be the person I am today without Baylor. They took me when it was my first time being away from home. They taught me how to be a man. They taught me how to handle myself, control myself, and how to be on my own, and how to trust in other people as well. And without Baylor, I definitely can say that I wouldn't be the spot that I am today. And I kind of owe everything to them. And they're an incredible organization, incredible university, incredible organization. They do their best to do the right things at all the time. And they definitely know how to take a boy and kind of sculpt him into a man.
He's at Tennessee Tech, by the way. Steve Smith now, the former Baylor baseball coach.
Max, I've always loved the way that Dave Roberts moves around your lineup and the way that you guys play matchups, and you play a bunch of different positions. Is there a spot in the field that you've campaigned to play that he'd say, no, we got enough guys?
No, not really. I think that's probably one of the reasons why we have such a good relationship is he knows that my only goal is to go out there and win. I don't have any personal goals. It doesn't matter to me where I'm at on the field. As long as I'm playing and doing something to help the guys win, then I'm happy. It doesn't matter where he puts me at, and he knows that, and he respects that, and he enjoys it, and kind of for me, it just makes it fun to show up to the field, never knowing where I'm going to be at, because that is all I want to do is go out there and win.
And that now includes the DH, right, Max? With the rules in place, what are your thoughts on the DH in the National League?
It'll be interesting. It's something that we've never had, and it gives us an extra spot to get someone into the lineup with, how deep our roster is. That's going to only help us out. It's a huge amount. Every single night there's always a couple guys that aren't playing that more than deserve to be in the lineup, but just because of how deep and how stacked we are, that doesn't happen. And now you give us one extra spot to put one of those guys in the lineup. It's just going to make us even more dangerous.
What does it say, and I know you've answered this before, but what does it say about you that you're at the end of spring training in 2017, and all of a sudden you're a free agent. You're released by Oakland, picked up by the Dodgers, and here you are now making a huge difference for one of the great franchises in baseball, an all-star a year ago, and a guy that again, had one of the great famous moments in baseball history in the World Series. What's it been like? How did you do that? What was it about you?
It's just changing my mental attitude towards everything. I was at a spot where I was depressed and not having any fun, and it kind of showed with how I'd show up to the field and how I'd work when I was on the field and how I'd go out there and play. I wasn't having any fun, and the biggest difference I made was just changing how I thought about everything and changing how I thought about the game. And once I was able to do that and realize I just want to be a kid and have fun, doesn't matter what the results are, everything kind of turned around for me.
Is that because sometimes what is a game can become so much of a business and you kind of lose that feeling? Is that part of what happened?
It could be. I just think everyone has to find it in their own way. For me, it was just I've always been so much about baseball that maybe I burned myself out a little bit on it, and it could be any number of reasons. And it just for whatever it was, I just lost the love of the game, and I had to re-find it.
How much of that was the yo-yo that you had for a little while with Oakland, where you're kind of up and down, as to now you're fully entrenched on a major league roster?
I mean, that it could be. I've always made it a point to never ever put that kind of blame on anyone, and never make an excuse for what happened. It was all on me, and it was just something that had happened.
You were able to sign Max Muncy, Dodgers All-Star. I know, Max, you got to go. You were able to sign an extension with the Dodgers. You've obviously earned that. What did that mean to you for security? And how does that just fuel your fire even more because now you have that security?
To me, the biggest thing is it just means that I've got 4 more years with one of the best teams in baseball. And to me, that was kind of all I cared about. It was just knowing I'm going to be on a winning team every single year, and having a chance to win a World Series every single year. That was the biggest motivation for me, to be honest.
Now it's back. The season's back. Excitement. What do you do now between now and July 1st? Have you been able to take some cuts in the batting cage somewhere, and now that's what you do until you hit July 1st?
Yeah, we've everyone's been able to.
And we lost him.
Yeah.
Max, you there?
Just go out there and do it. Hello?
Yeah, sorry. We lost you there for a second. I'm sorry if you wouldn't mind repeating that. As far as you've had a chance to get some reps in, get some work in the cage or whatever, you've been able to do a little bit of that, I guess, during the downtime?
Yeah, we have. It's just, now that we know the season's coming up, it's go out there every single day and just work yourself up.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate your time. Max Muncy, Dodgers All-Star, former Baylor All-Conference player, tremendous guy. What a story it's been. Think about this. You go to play Major League Baseball, and it doesn't turn out to be quite what you expect. And a lot of it goes through the ups and downs. Max Muncy, we appreciate him for being a part of the show to start it off today on SicEm365 Radio. And I'm sure that can be, it can be tough.
And, with Oakland, the way that they kind of handle their business, and, that's an organization that's been successful, and they were kind of okay when he was there, but he was, he hadn't hit his stride yet, and he had to make some adjustments to, what his game was, and it was up and down for a little while there, and then he goes to the Dodgers and rediscovers his love for the game, and now he's an all-star, and he's one of the most consistent players in baseball.
Yeah, and the Dodgers are going to be one of the betting favorites for the World Series this year, even though it'll be a different type of season, obviously 100+ less games, but they won 106 last year. Now you're going to have the 60-game schedule, and the Dodgers, along with the Yankees, according to at least one sports book, the two favorites have them at 38.5 wins. Yeah, they're going to be expected to, maybe this is the year they finally break through and win the World Series. That's something the Dodgers have been knocking on the door of, and clearly they've been spending the money.
88, was that the last time when they had Kirk Gibson and beat the mighty A's with Hershiser and his amazing shutout streak that carried into the postseason?
Yeah, but they've, they had their chances here recently, and they've just come up a bit short. So, this is a good opportunity for them with the shortened schedule. And I mean, think of a Dodgers lineup with the DH now involved, as Max was talking about. I mean, Max will play first and third and whatever, but he could also DH on any given day, and he's one of like several options that they have to do that. So that's going to really play into the National League's hands. But I will mention too, with those two being 38.5, winning games or being pegged at 38.5 wins out of the 60 games, which is the two highest. The Astros, they have it 35.5, so not too much further back than that. And the Rangers, they have it 29.5. So there you go.
I don't know if that's enough to get in or not.
I'll tell you, here's their rotation. Still has Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler at the top, who's a young guy who's really good. David Price steps in, who shook off his postseason woes.
Just don't play the Rangers.
Yeah, Julio Urias and Alex Wood are all good. Kenley Jansen, the closer. And then their lineup outside of catcher, I mean, when you got Muncy Bellinger, Chris Taylor, Justin Turner, Corey Seager, Mookie Betts, A.J. Pollock, and Jock Peterson on your team, I mean, you're pretty dang good.
Yep. It looks like they're stud loaded up. 36-24 would be the record, basically, on whether you take the over or under on 35.5. So baseball starts late July. July 1st, they open up training camp. That's former Baylor star, Dodgers All-Star Max Muncy signed a 3-year contract extension, a $26 million extension with $13 million club option in 2023. He was scheduled to go to arbitration. Think about this: 3 years, $26 million, so you can look at about almost $9 million a year, right? He was requesting $4.7 million. The Dodgers offering $4 million. That was going to be arbitration. And now he'll make nearly twice that much each year. It doesn't always end that way.
No.
You want 4.6, which would have been a huge raise from what he was getting, because remember, he was released in 17. The Dodgers giving him 4 would have still been a huge raise, but now this case he gets 3 years, $26 million, and a 4th year option for 2023. 70 home runs and 170 RBIs the last 2 years.
Considering he was almost out of the league, to now be here in 2020 and signing a 3-year deal where he's going to be making double-digit millions, that's not too bad. That's not too bad, and all it was just kind of rearranging his mental makeup a little bit, which is hard to do. It's hard, it's one thing to try and have a new way of looking at things. A lot of people can't even get to that first step, but for him to do it and then follow through with it and just maintain it, it's obviously worked really well for him.
When we come back, again, John Machota today at 5 wrote an article today about Jimmy Johnson, the Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted whenever they do that, whenever that might be, and yet he's not in the Ring of Honor. And Jerry Jones made a pretty good point in the article a few months back, I guess it was, that, Tom Landry was not in the Ring of Honor before he made it to the Hall of Fame, which I didn't know the timeline there. He'll join us at 5, and Zeke Elliott spoke for the first time today about what he's been through with the coronavirus, says he's feeling much better. But coming up next, there are school districts locally and around the state of Texas. I mentioned Lake Travis yesterday, a couple of days ago. Waco High University, China Spring, Midway, among some others, have closed down their workouts for at least the next week and maybe longer. Ed Love, in his first year as AD at Waco High, will check in with him. Ed Love on SicEm365 Radio is next. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. They now have touchless bottle filling stations to make it even safer for you. Yeah, the regular faucets, you lean over, you push the button. They have those, but they have touchless water systems that can now refill whatever water bottle you have during a workout. 40-plus workout classes that are group exercise classes, 40-plus of them, including boot camps, 5:15 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's yoga, Pilates, there's bar, there's spin, and there's combination classes throughout the week. And that's not just in the morning, but during the rest of the day, including at night. And also personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley, March 13th of 2013, 282.5 pounds, and now 190 and solid. battling the bumps and bruises you do when you're 61 years old, but pushing through because, as Christy said to me many years ago, yes, you can do this even when I didn't think I could. And now there's new clients that are getting that same type of workout, same type of training, and believing. There was a guy that came in about a week ago, and the first day he was there, he almost didn't make it through 10 minutes. Now he's already running nearly a mile. That's what can happen when you're pushed a little bit. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, right now, again, the touchless water bottle filling stations among such a great atmosphere. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneerboys.com.
Drive forward at Allen Samuels. Get big summer values on new Jeeps, the vehicles of summer. Get 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on select Jeeps. Plus, new Jeep Gladiators featuring employee pricing for all. New Ram Lone Star Crew Cab 4x4s feature up to $10,250 in values. Shop safely in person or shop and buy online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Ask for details.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day, payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
Comebacker, and Andrus gets it, spins, throws! What a stretch at first base! Oh my!
Log on to the Willis Law Firm chat room on SicEm365.com.
Here we go, halfway through this first hour. At 4 o'clock today, we'll have Dan Luss, sports law attorney, on kind of the back and forth, the give and take between the owners and players, if there was any give and take, which in the end there was a little bit. And then also at 4:30, former Baylor wide receiver Jay Lee. We'll have Cameron Yo's Tommy Brashear at 4:45, and then at 5 o'clock, John Machota from theathletic.com. His article about Jerry, Jimmy, and also the conversation with Ezekiel Elliott that he posted up per a video. We're now joined by Ed Love, first-year AD at Waco High. Earlier today, we mentioned that Waco High University, China Spring, Midway had an actual student-athlete test positive. They have cut back the workouts or shut down the workouts for the time being. Ed Love joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Ed, was yours more proactive, or did you also have to deal with a positive test?
Ours is more proactive. To our knowledge, we haven't been made aware of any type of positive test at this particular moment. But just the fact that we know that the numbers are going up in McLennan County, and we have a lot of kids, that we can control what our kids do, at the strength and working and conditioning workouts. But, kids are going to be kids, and they, when they leave us, they're going to get together and they're going to get close to each other. And our biggest concern is that we're worrying about those kids taking something home to their parents who might be older, that might have a lot more difficulty dealing with the virus. And we also know that the numbers as far as younger kids getting the virus now, that number is starting to go down as well, as far as the number of high school kids getting the virus too.
So how will you approach testing? Will be kind of the same protocol when you come back, or are you going to use this week to maybe change some things up and add some things in?
Well, we're really focusing on what the numbers look like for the county and also, I guess, Texas overall. Again, we control it, as well as possible, and we have been observing both of our strength and conditioning workout sites, and the coaches, the managers, the trainers, athletic trainers, they're doing an outstanding job of checking kids in, keeping kids separated. The problem again is that, when kids leave us, and then you look at those numbers steady going up, and we just think at this time that the best thing for us to do is take a step back, and we'll reevaluate for us the entire city is concerned in the county. But we're looking at probably taking a couple of weeks off to see what those numbers look like.
Ed, I know you've seen a lot over the years, but what has been dealing with coronavirus and just all that comes with that been like for you?
Oh man, you know what? I as a former coach, you're so used to instructing kids, and then when you finish your instructions, you call them up and you break them, and that is one of the biggest challenges for coaches is to remind themselves to speak to the kids where they are while they're separated and break that habit of, huddling kids up. That is, you just don't think about it, but that's just a normal thing that you do. You call them up and you talk to all of them, and you go to the next stage, but that's been most challenging. And then just the worry as the athletic director, you worry about, your kids. You worry about all your kids, and not just our kids, but kids in general. But you worry about them not taking it serious and, infecting each other and then taking it home to their parents or grandparents. So that's my biggest concern is, not necessarily not the kids, but also as well as the parents and grandparents getting it, whose immune system might not be as strong as far as handling this virus is concerned.
If the statistics remain about what they are now, can you see probably this lasting much longer than a week or 5 to 10 days? I know some school districts longer than others. Do you have any kind of just off the top? Not I'm putting you on the spot to give us a date because that could change tonight. But any idea how long it might be?
Well, at this time we just we've talked to. I had a conversation with our superintendent, Dr. Kincannon, and she and I both agreed that we probably just need to take a couple of weeks right now, and then reevaluate things towards the end of that week, the second week.
Yeah, welcome to being the first-year AD there, right? Golly.
I wasn't anticipating this, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and good luck to you. Did you I traded a text with a couple of the other ADs around the area. Did you and Brad Shelton have a chance to visit a little bit? I know that he had a positive student. I think he told me he shared a couple of comments with you.
Oh yeah. We talked. As a matter of fact, yesterday evening, and he and I talk quite often. We have a real good relationship, and me being a new AD, he's one of the ones that I reach out to get advice from, and he's done an outstanding job of giving me solid advice. So yes, he and I communicate quite often.
Anything else, guys? Craig?
No, I think I'm good. Ed, is just obviously a lot to plan for. We had Mac Rhodes, Baylor AD, on yesterday, and he was going over like all of the different scenarios they are having to meet about and account for. Now, I know it's a little bit different for you guys, but how many meetings are you having to have, and how many different scenarios are you having to put out in front of you to potentially have to deal with here over the next few weeks?
Well, we meet the 6A district. We meet every Wednesday on a Zoom, and we haven't met probably in about a month with the 5A district that we're in. But everything right now is just basically waiting on the UIL to give us direction. And we all have our thoughts and ideas, but of course, we can't do anything other than sit back and wait. But we're just, we get on those Zoom meetings with UIL, and there's a lot of talk, but it's not a lot of decisions right now. Mm-hmm. So we're just kind of trying to wait and see what's going to happen.
Thank you, Ed. Appreciate it very much. Good luck with it. I know it's a unique time. It's been that way since mid-March, early March, and it might be that way for quite some time. We appreciate you jumping on with us.
Hey, not a problem. Anytime.
Thank you very much. That's Ed Love, first-year AD at Waco High. They in University, China Spring, Midway had a player, a student-athlete, test positive, and they've cut back or suspended their workouts. And again, there will be more. Some of them proactive, as he mentioned, Waco High was, University High, Waco ISD was, and then some will be, Midway's was reactive because of the positive test from a player who tested positive, he was negative Monday, but didn't feel well Monday night, and so then he then tested positive, and that's what shut it down.
Yeah, well, these tests aren't always completely accurate. Every once in a while you will get the false positive, or you'll get the false negative, or a guy testing negative and then a day later testing positive. And that's why, for certain companies like the UFC, I know AEW, the wrestling company, and there have been some others that they test like all the time. And there are some that all they do is do like a temperature check. WWE, for example, which they've gotten criticized for here recently because they've had a couple of people test positive. So, everybody's trying to do what they can, or at least trying to do something, but you can't do everything. You can't prevent, like he said, players from going home and catching it from their uncle or their mom or sister or whoever. So I like them being more proactive than reactive. I do. I would feel good about that as a Waco ISD parent, that they're looking at the landscape right now and going, okay, 5,000 new cases pretty much every single day this week in the state of Texas. We just had somebody at Midway pop. We had somebody at China Spring pop. Let's go. It's only a matter of time. So let's go ahead and shut it down before we are dealing with this as well. So I think they're making the right move. And obviously, it's for a lot of people out there, it's all about just waiting for, those in charge to make really big decisions. So that's where we are.
All right, 3:39. We were going to have Jason King on for the next segment. He has a son who's playing baseball, and he's keeping the official scorebook, so he's not available. A couple other notes to get to. Thanks to Max Muncy. Thanks to Ed Love. At 4 o'clock, we'll have Dan Luss, sports law attorney, on the baseball back and forth and on maybe the HIPAA laws when it comes to coronavirus and information like when Zeke Elliott's name was released. What does all that mean? This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Tell you about these guys just about every single day, and I love talking about Richard Carr because, they give you great deals, and they also provide you with great service. And right now, they've got an overload on the lot, used cars and trucks, over 100 in stock. They got a lot of work to do to move these pre-owned vehicles. They've got 25 used trucks right now in stock, all at discounted prices. They also have the new cars. They've got the ultimate luxury style and power in a new SUV with the Cadillac line of the XT4s, XT5s, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Right now, you can roll out in a Cadillac XT4 for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They not only have the great prices, but they also have the service, as I mentioned. Free oil changes with a new purchase, in-town priority warranty service. All of that comes with your purchase at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business, so stop by their daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home. Your comfort and safety is their first priority. Find them at richardcarr.com or Highway 6, the Imperial exit.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Here we go, this 3 o'clock hour, 3:45 is the time. Demarion Alexander from China Spring, player who committed, it's been probably a couple of months or so, to the University of Minnesota, put up something on his Instagram, I believe it was, that he was decommitting from Minnesota based on things that are out of his control, and I guess it must have been possibly, sounds like it, what happened in Minneapolis. So he's no longer a commitment to the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I've really kept track of here over the last few days as much, but I did have eyes on Minneapolis for a couple of weeks there. And to say there was upheaval would be putting it lightly. To say there's not really anybody in charge, I don't think would be entirely off base. Unless you want to, say the inmates running the asylum, it's more kind of like that. I don't know how aware Demarion Alexander is of like the Minneapolis mayor and the Minnesota governor and how they've handled or not handled the protest. And really in Minneapolis is where they got hit pretty well early on with a lot of the troublemakers, not so much the actual protesters. So, there's a lot that could go into a decision like that, obviously, and wanting to go that far away from home's always kind of a gamble to begin with. But if you're looking up at Minneapolis right now as a Texas kid and just kind of seeing everything going on with COVID everything else, I mean, it's not all that surprising.
No, it's
3:46 is the time. I never thought that's where he would end up.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
It's too far away.
I just never, and it's, again, he could have said TCU, who was also interested in him, or whoever.
Well,
I just never thought in the end, I just never thought, and that's just kind of knowing people that know him or what. I just never thought that was his end result.
Like Javion Sunday went really far away. He went to Washington, which is about as far away as you can go. And, that's something that he did. He signed, and he's there now. I saw,
just left the other day.
Yeah, Shane Anderson actually, tweeted a picture of him, having to take Javion to the airport or whatever. So, he's a guy that's gone and done it. He didn't commit till late, though. It's not like he was committing well before his senior year like DeMarion did. I just think for anybody making a decision right now, especially when you can't visit campuses and they try to do the online tours or whatever, but, I mean, that's still not the same as actually being on and walking around campus. You take into account how far away it is and just the upheaval and the uncertainty that we have in our world right now. I'm just saying, me personally as a recruit, I'd probably be more apt, just putting myself in those shoes. Obviously, I'm not thinking the same way as I would at 18 years old, but if I'm looking around the world right now, staying close to home probably sounds like a pretty good idea. So we'll see what happens with Alexander. He's got other offers. He'll probably pick up some more. And, maybe he ends up back in Minnesota eventually. I don't know, but that's not surprising.
I saw one of the most bitter, angry, vicious responses to when he admitted or when he committed to Minnesota from a TCU fan. Some young woman sitting in a lawn chair around a pool who just blasted his test scores and grades and everything else.
Then why do you want him?
Will be so interesting. Yes.
Why do you want him?
Will be so of course, that's the Twitter mob, but it would be so interesting now if his next commitment is to TCU. Go back and find that idiot and see what the reaction might be. So baseball. And again, Dan Lust will join us at 4. DH for everybody. Craig, you brought that up to Max Muncy. Here's something I saw. Players or managers who leave their positions to argue with umpires come within 6 feet of an umpire or opposing player or manager for the purpose of an argument. Engage in altercations on the field are subject to immediate ejection, discipline, fines, and suspensions.
Yeah, you got to keep that social distancing, right?
What? Yeah. That's true, but
with no fans in the stands, you can easily yell insults.
How far away is a home plate umpire from the catcher's head?
Well, less than 6 feet.
He's inches.
Yeah.
He's a foot away.
Yeah. He's probably going to have to wear a mask the
for
whole time.
150 pitches on either side, for 300 pitches a game in this day and age of baseball.
Yeah, I would imagine the umpires are going to have masks on under their regular masks.
Oh, my God. So you have the mask, and then you have what might be, some might wear something like a cloth or whatever for the moisture, and then the umpire's helmet, like the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a hat they wear as well.
It's good news for all the people who will be doing games in Arlington that they're going to shut that roof.
Yeah,
indoor stadium,
Great year, Minute Maid, elsewhere.
But, and I know that sounds like a pain, and that will be an awful thing to have to do for an umpire. I guess we can't use any of the Texas teams as examples anymore, but, for an outdoor stadium where it's really hot, that's what they signed up for, though. And, I think of what Waco ISD is doing with Ed Love and what we've heard Mac Rhodes say and what we've heard many others say. There's a lot of things that we're going to have to do to get back to some type of normalcy, although to reiterate what Mac Rhodes has said so many times, is not going to be normal, but there's little sacrifices we got to make along the way. And if we want to have the things that we want to have as close to what we remember them being. So if we want baseball, then umpire, you're going to have to wear an extra layer of protection on your face. That's just the bottom line.
But isn't that, you're right, but isn't that interesting? You can't get within 6 feet, but he's going to be a foot behind the catcher and not far from the hitter for 300 pitches a game.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm curious to see if they don't, analyze that a little bit more and try and figure out a way to maybe do that a little bit safer. I don't know. But, yeah, I look at it as kind of a strange thing that maybe hasn't been viewed or analyzed all that much that hopefully they've thought about. But also, there's going to be a lot of things that we're all going to have to do to keep this thing moving.
Robot umps could find their way.
I was thinking that. Yeah,
they've discussed that.
I was
that's
thinking
right.
that
It might be if they could like mass. Do
you know
that.
what? If you were going to do it, why not do it this year? 60 games. You're trying to keep people away from each other as best as you can. It's already going to be a World Series that no matter who wins, it's going to have like a little tiny asterisk. Not that it was cheating or anything, but because it's a 60-game season.
But the technology for the robot ump is essentially it's something that the actual umpire wears. So they'd have to develop something where he could be 6 feet or he could be somewhat socially distanced.
Right.
If somebody spits sunflower seeds, Twitter will implode.
Well, I've actually seen where, like some of the high schools that got back to working out, that they banned sunflower seeds. They banned stuff like that to make sure that, there's not that chance out there. Because, sunflower seeds would be, I would think, really contagious. It's, the way that those are eaten. So, yeah.
Major League Baseball, David Barron, longtime writer for the Houston Chronicle, used to work at the Tyler paper. Now Dave Campbell's Texas Football
I
for
think
years.
he used to work here, too.
Stipulates for a single world feed-style television production, which means a single production for home and away team networks. That feed must portray the home and away clubs equally. Baseball operations manual says 2 cameras can be reserved for the visiting team TV feed.
Can somebody explain that to me? Because I didn't catch all that.
You're getting to the point. Yeah.
There's not going to be – so there's just going to be –
Yeah.
So they're not going to bring in each other's crew to do the games.
Which they normally
so I would assume that the broadcasters
like the radio crew.
Broadcasters will be in a remote location. They're not going to be there on site. I don't think – I mean –
I don't know. They're part of – there's 3 tiers.
Yeah. So if they're part of it, so the broadcasters...
The media is tier 3, but there's a second tier that might include the broadcasters.
Yeah, so the broadcasters, but they're not going to bring in an extra camera crew. They're just going to run the one in-house camera crew, and so they'll reserve a couple of those cameras that'll be for the visitors so that they can do, whatever, but there's still only going to be one feed, which means that there's going to be essentially 2 producers for a game and that somebody's going to produce one and the other in the same truck. And... that's going to be interesting to see how they'll do that.
Like a Julia Morales. I mean, her job's important, and she's a big part of the broadcast or whatever. But and she does a great job. But is she going to be necessary? This year,
well, she's pregnant, so I don't.
Well, then definitely not. But like her, just anybody like her that does that same type of sideline reporter job. Like because she sits right next to the dugout the entire game.
Yeah.
So
Emily and
like Emily Jones, they're right there next to the dugout in that kind of little pit area with the cameras. So there's a lot of things to take into account, man. You start really unpacking it, and you start thinking of the umpire, and does he need a mask, and how is that socially distanced, and all that stuff.
So that'll be interesting, because if Fox Sports Southwest, the Rangers were playing in Detroit, or heck, in Houston, you would have your own broadcast and your own people. And then, of course, so would the home team. And now they'll probably have one feed, kind of like what they trying to use it as an example. Probably not a very good example. There's sports that might have one feed and you just split it off. And there's a sport or two that does that. I can't remember which one it might be. Also, when we talked to Dan Lust, so there's an opt-out. But if you opt out, I don't know if you're going to get your full shares, like your full salary. If you opt out, you still might not get what you're guaranteed for 60 games, which is the pro day. We'll talk to Dan about that. Also, yesterday from D. Carter on Twitter to me, one of the elephants in the room, this might have been Tuesday with Mac Rhodes, what will Baylor football do about purchase tickets for fans that won't be allowed to attend? They'll probably give you 2 options. 1, the possibility you get a refund, or 2, you move it towards next year.
It's a voucher.
Yeah. I would think that, there might be more contingencies than that. I think that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
If you have season tickets and you're not going to be able to go to, let's say, half the games or any of the games or how many games, they prorate that, whatever that is, you would think, and push that over towards your cost. Here's an example. I used to have 6 Cowboys regular season tickets at the radio station in Tyler, and we bought 6 season tickets. And then near the end of the year, if the Cowboys were even remotely in the playoff chase, and they're always kind of in that picture, you then would commit to the playoff games, but you have to pay for them up front. They would charge you. If they then didn't make the playoffs or they didn't host any playoff games, that amount of money then went towards next year's season tickets. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I do think that the way things are going right now, I mean, Texas is the only state that said, yes, you can, and I think maybe Florida, but yeah, we're going to have fans in the stands and sporting events. I think that's going to get rolled back.
Very possible. Given the trajectory of both of the states that you mentioned, that is very, very possible. Not being doom and gloom and keeping a very positive mindset about, coronavirus, but it's hard to not look at Texas, and I'm not looking at it like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid I'm going to get it. I'm just looking like I want to make very clear that any back and forth we have on coronavirus or anything like that, my biggest issue in talking about it is not like what other people are doing, or I'm doing whatever I can to stop the spread, and I just hope everybody else is as well, because I want to see sports. I want to see events. I want to go out and cover things again, and I know we're not going to be able to cover them in the same way we normally do, at least for the foreseeable future, but gosh dang, man, I see all these numbers keep rising, and all I have is sports on the brain, along with, obviously my loved ones in mind, but a lot of it's just, hey, we got to do whatever we got to do to try and just kick this thing as best we can and keep on moving, because a lot of us can ill afford 6 more months of, nothingness, basically. So, yeah, I would not be surprised to see that roll back either at all.
Coming up next, Dan Lust, who's already tweeted out, baseball took a lot of heat for sniping through the media, wasted summer days. He's joining us next, explaining exactly how all this happened, the impact on upcoming collective bargaining agreement negotiations, and was there a HIPAA infringement when Zeke Elliott's name was released with coronavirus. All of that next was at Sports Law Lust on Twitter. Dan Lust on SicEm365 Radio. Ideal MRI. You got something that hurts. You've been to the doctor and they want to give you an MRI. They want to get an MRI of whatever bone, whatever muscle, or whatever anything else ligament is damaged. Ask your doctor right up front, if that's brought up, that they need to get something closer, look at whatever's hurting you. Ask them about Ideal MRI. Ideal MRI in the Central Texas marketplace in Waco is lowering the cost of health costs through the MRIs. Sometimes an MRI with Ideal MRI can be less than $500, can be thousands of dollars less than what you might have to pay somewhere else. And I do this without any notes in front of me. Their machine is state-of-the-art technology. It is a monster, just like you get at any other local hospital or any hospital you might visit. And all from start to finish, when you walk out the door, from the time you walk in or even setting up your appointment, is so smooth. The staff is fantastic. The specialist, the techs, just saying hi when you walk through the front door, making sure that your experience that can be a little bit kind of is something that next time you need an MRI, you feel, okay, I'm going back. That's what they're about. Ideal MRI, the title sponsor of SicEm365 Radio, thanks to Dr. Rob Maxey and his great staff. Ideal MRI, state-of-the-art technology, lowering medical bills, and also helping you save thousands on your MRI in the Central Texas marketplace in Waco, idealmri.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Have you ever thought about how great it would feel a month or 6 months or a year from now if you weighed less and were in better shape and more fit than you are today? Think about that. Words can't explain the confidence I have because of what I've experienced and what I continue to experience every day at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. I promise if you join today, you'll thank me later. Offering a variety of different classes, over 40 of them every single week, including boot camp on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And there's free daycare. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday Thursday 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7. Contact personal trainers Christy London or Randall Corley and let them make you feel better about yourself. Also, world-class tennis facility with Pro Britt Coleman and Director of Adult Tennis and Special Events Joe Rosa. A spacious, clean, and sanitized workout room, no intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an all-new atmosphere that will make you love doing burpees. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Well, I have to tell you that we're pretty proud here at Pickup Outfitters. The mayor of the city of Waco chose to deputize Pickup Outfitters into the Waco Mask Police Force. Now, we weren't necessarily looking to be deputized. We've been pretty busy fighting truck nudity, but hey, we're law-abiding citizens. The threat of a $1,000 fine if we didn't join the Mask Police Force also had something to do with it. So please, bring your mask with you to Pickup Outfitters. And if you don't have one, we'll provide one previously unused. And we have a couple of other requests. First, wear a mask that covers your mouth and nose but not your eyes, especially when driving to Pickup Outfitters. Second, we do have hand sanitizer, which you are welcome to use on your hands. Do not try to drink our hand sanitizer. Even if you add orange juice, it's still not a mimosa. And third, we have everything you need to outfit your naked truck. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Check us out online at createacommotion.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
The 0-2. Nope, this one lined. Pass short into left. Great arm out there by Gallo. Here comes the throw to the plate. And he got Galvis. And the inning is over.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Joey Gallo with the bases loaded. 1 out. That just sounds like fun. It's this ball a mile. Deep to center field. Gone! 16th long ball of the year for Gallo, and it's a grand slam.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
That almost sounds like Pac-Man or what is that other game?
Yeah, like Asteroids or something like that. Yeah. No, that was kind of my intent.
Yeah, and we're now joined by Dan Lust, Sports Law Lust on Twitter. Dan joins us. He's been on with us before, gave us some great insight in other sports news as well, legal news. Dan, thank you. You reached out to me. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks, and now everywhere I look, you're doing something with somebody. You are growing the brand, my friend.
I'm like the modern day Carmen Sandiego. I could be anywhere at any point in time. No, but my pleasure to come on. It's funny. I spoke to you guys 2 weeks ago. We had no sports, and now all of a sudden they're on the verge of coming back. So happy to come and provide an update on everything in sports law.
So in the end, baseball has the delays from the COVID, and then they have this back and forth. What was the difference? In the end, what was the difference? They've decided to play 60 games. What was the main issue?
So I think you just kind of have to look at it for a second. The players were given on Sunday night a proposal that was for 60 games that they decided to turn down. And at the end of the day, right, the owners decided to institute a 60-game season. So at kind of a higher level, there was we'll say a high-stakes game of chicken, maybe a game of poker, whatever analogy you want to use. Rob Manfred had floated out that he wanted a 48-game season. So he's trying to spark a little bit of fear in the players and hope that they bought that he could go down for 48, and then maybe he would, the players would agree to 60. The reason that they weren't going to do that, and maybe ultimately at the end of the day, this grievance that could come, is because if they agreed to that 60 from the owners, that would have required them to waive any and all legal rights and loaded grievances, the ability to have document production and look into baseball's books. That was all going to be gone if they agreed to that deal. So the players, I think, won this game of chicken. They got the 60-game season they wanted anyway.
What does this mean for labor talks in the future?
So I think the big one, obviously this has been a very contentious negotiation. Nothing anywhere close to that in baseball, hockey, football. We're not hearing this type of, media noise. And with that comes terms like, that we're being held ransom. The players felt railroaded, bullied. It's a really messy negotiation. And even though that, they've agreed to one level, baseball, we still have a lot of hurdles to overcome before we actually get there. But obviously this left this sour taste in both sides' mouth. And it's not like we have another 5 years before the next CBA. This is going to come right up. It's the end of the 2021 season is when the CBA expires. So all of these wounds are going to be fresh. It's not like one season is going to make up for all this. So, if every time you go into CBA negotiations, there's always a chance at a strike, always a chance at a lockout. But I imagine those percentages, if you're a betting man, they're probably a little bit higher because of what we've seen transpire the last couple weeks.
Dan, where is MLB's players union as far as the strength of players groups around pro sports?
It's got to be up there. I think that's part of the reason that you had such a vocal fight. Every time the players were hit with something and they felt railroaded or bullied, you had big names in the sport, be it Trevor Bauer or Max Scherzer, or even just the whole movement of players across the board saying when and where. We don't have any of that in really any of our major sports. We don't hear something like so unified, big players willing to speak up. So, for better or for worse, I mean, that's baseball. Baseball union is just, historically been thought of as the strongest and probably with good reason. I think Tony Clark, again, as you're just kind of taking grades, letter grades on who came out ahead, Manfred or Clark. I think they both, didn't come out so great, but I think maybe by default, Tony Clark wins this one.
If, in fact, the player wants to not show up, if a player wants to opt out of playing, whether we're discussing the NBA or we're discussing Major League Baseball or whatever else, how is that handled on how the club will pay that particular player or not?
So the most fascinating one that I'm watching, if anyone was paying attention to Twitter last night, originally reports across all the different baseball writers said that there was a level of opt-out. So if you're a high-risk player across any of the different sports, you're going to be allowed out. Basketball and high risk, if you're high risk and a doctor separately declares you to be high risk, there's a chance you could still get some portion of your money. Other than that, in basketball, you're not going to get paid just because they've already received almost, we'll say getting close to 90-95% of their money. Baseball is a little bit of a different story. You need to be declared high risk in order to get paid and to get service time. Now, there's this little interesting carve-out that I'll just leave you guys with, and listeners are free to make their own conclusions. The Players Association of Major League Baseball was very adamant that they needed an extra carve-out. Not if you were high risk, everyone understood you could get an opt-out. But if you were cohabitating with someone that was high risk, so we just saw this last night. Avery Bradley opted out in basketball because he has a 6-year-old son that has some type of autoimmune disease. Now, that's probably a specific example, but the easy one is just if you have a pregnant wife at home. And we know the union was asking specifically for a carve-out if you have a pregnant wife at home. So why are they asking for that? Clearly, there's some players that are asking for a carve-out and to be able to opt out of some portion of the season. So, guys, two of the biggest names in baseball, Garrett Cole and Mike Trout, both currently with pregnant wives. I mean, you don't want to speculate that that's them, but there's only a handful of guys with pregnant wives, and we know that the union was pushing for this. So, just something to put on your radars, and we're all sports betting fans in some way, shape, or form. Don't just bet those futures bets so quick. Let's see who opts out. We have a couple more days for players to trickle out. But I think that's very important. This cohabitation carve-out that players were very specific about. So obviously, I don't have any inside information of what players and their wives and their families' health situations are. But unfortunately, that's the world we live in. That stuff's going to come out just like we saw with Avery Bradley last night.
What do you think the players lost in this, if anything? Because, again, anytime you stare down millionaires and billionaires that pay you, it's tough to get wins. I mean, the NFL players kind of lose all the time at that, but their union's not quite as in lockstep.
It's hard to say what the players really lost. I mean, at the end of the day, both sides lost. So what did one side gain and the other one didn't? I mean, there's probably another just a breadcrumb to kind of watch. Max Scherzer was one of the guys who was very vocal that owners at no point provided justification for this kind of interesting argument that if baseball would have been played at these full prorated salaries, that actually would cost baseball, the owners more than if they would have canceled the season altogether. So by kind of playing the season out and not kind of sticking to their guns about where's the justification for this, I mean, maybe that's kind of a sign of weakness that they never really fully and adamantly call their bluff. There's nothing stopping the players from actually have filed a grievance already. I mean, I think that should be put out there. They haven't filed it yet. Nothing's really stopping them. There's no time frame as to when you can file a grievance. So, but on a substantive level, I mean, we at least have one parameter agreed to in baseball. I think, guys, and if I didn't mention this, I probably should have. This carve out with the players or with the cohabitation with the pregnant wives. One interesting little note: the players they got this carve out, but it's going to be at the team's discretion if they want to pay the player for more than a 7-day, paternity policy. Which, I had a kid recently. I got more than 7 days. Baseball players are going to get 3 paid days automatically, and then if you want more than that, it's up to the team's discretion. So people are saying that that's a little bit of a loss, especially because of how hard they bargained for it. So if there's something there, that maybe that's the breadcrumb to pay attention to.
Dan, I haven't, and I've kind of watched how you've covered this as well, but even when Zeke Elliott, who was on a video today explaining kind of how he felt, and then all of a sudden felt like it was okay, but he ended up getting tested. He was positive for coronavirus. His name came out. It was initially Cowboys and Texans, then boom, next thing you know, here's Zeke. His agent, I believe, confirmed that it was Zeke. You hear about the HIPAA laws. When does the HIPAA law come into play on something like that, or does it?
So HIPAA is it's an overarching term to mean a medical professional's obligation to not disclose private patient information. So it's really only applicable to doctors or maybe someone that works at a lab. It's not applicable to media. So what happened was when, just like as you laid it out, all of a sudden Zeke's name came out. So you imagine, right, all the different tests coming across sports, beat Avery Bradley, the information about his family, and different, even Novak Djokovic. All these players are acknowledging themselves, and they're coming out and saying that they have coronavirus. Now, if you as a player, as an individual, if you release the information, if you tell the media, there can be no HIPAA violation. The problem is if the doctor doesn't say anything, right, and you as the player don't say anything, what exactly happened? How did that information come out? So there's one level where a doctor can improperly say something that's a HIPAA violation. A doctor can lose their license. And then there's something, and we saw this play out in the media not so long ago. Jason Pierre-Paul with this tragic fireworks accident, this defensive end for the Giants. He was having a medical procedure for his hand, and all of a sudden, somehow, some way, Adam Schefter surfaced with a medical chart of his from the hospital. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't HIPAA because Adam Schefter's not a doctor. What it was a tort called invasion of privacy. And Jason Pierre-Paul sued Adam Schefter, his employer ESPN, and they settled out of court for what you'd imagine is a decent amount of money because who needs someone wading into these private affairs? And I think just this HIPAA understanding, we're going to have more tests across sports. We're going to have more positive tests. Charlie Blackmon, Jokic with the Denver Nuggets. We're going to keep seeing these. But if you see a name reported, a particular name, unless the player added them themselves or maybe the player's agent, you have an understanding that there could be potentially be HIPAA or even something like invasion of privacy, which there is some, some grumblings that this might have occurred in the hockey context with Austin Matthews of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just a little bit of smoke there, but definitely people are interested in hockey. That's an interesting story to pay attention to.
Another story that's been going on in sports, and it's been, one that I've kind of kept tabs on a little bit, but can you update everybody out there on Zion Williamson and what's going on with his proceedings and that whole story?
So I'll try to give it to you guys in a little elevator pitch. It's a little complicated. There's 2 different cases pending. So the easiest way to explain this, Zion, while he was a student at Duke, signed a very big, a lifelong marketing contract with a company called Prime Sports. So at some point as he was getting closer to the draft, he signed with CAA Sports, who's more of a traditional agency. They handle everything. They handle, your on-court contracts, your marketing contracts. So Zion said, you know what, I want to try to get out of this deal with Prime Sports. So Zion files a lawsuit in the state of North Carolina seeking to invalidate that contract. And what was the grounds for invalidating it, right? How can you just get out of a contract? His argument was that he was a minor. He wasn't of the proper age to be signing a contract. He was a student athlete, and he shouldn't be signing a contract as a student athlete. So even though he kind of did something wrong, he's saying, well, it's null and void because I wasn't allowed to sign this in the first place. Second lawsuit filed by Prime Sports for, guys, a breach of contract. That Zion improperly is trying to get out of his contract. So that's kind of the framework. So kind of the juicy part for college basketball fans and Zion Williamson fans. Zion is being alleged, again, these are just allegations, that he received an improper benefit to attend Duke. The reason that's important for this case, to the extent that, and this is just, again, allegations, so I'm not here to say what's true or what's not true, but to the extent that he received money to attend Duke, what Prime Sports is arguing is that he, at the time that they signed their Prime Sports contract, that he wasn't a student athlete. He already lost that status because he had accepted improper benefits. So at the heart of both of these cases is whether Zion to attend Duke had some type of pay-to-play scenario. So there's been discovery battles in the North Carolina case, in the Florida case, which is the breach of contract case. And at the heart of it is, will Zion Williamson get on a deposition stand? Will Coach K get on a deposition stand? So kind of these cases are just kind of proceeding in the background. But at some point, discovery is going to move ahead, and you could very easily see one of these Duke royalties, one of these blue bloods on the witness stand.
Is that just to muddy the waters, to just delay and delay and delay and just find things to kind of like cholesterol in your blood system?
I mean, listen, just call a spade a spade. I don't know how strong that argument is. That's the argument. Zion is filing motion after motion to block discovery, to have the other side establish why it's relevant. There are motions pending to get the case kicked out because at this point we've gone through paper discovery, and paper discovery just being kind of written responses. And at this point, Zion's arguing, you've had your chance to tell us what's relevant and what your smoking gun is. You haven't come forward with one, so you don't have a right to wade into my private affairs and just go on this fishing expedition. You need to actually establish what teeth you have. You can't just hide the ball until it's time for trial. So what we're seeing is, Zion putting the pressure on Prime Sports, and Prime Sports not really coming back with much. They're just saying, well, there's kind of rumors that Zion might have asked the Kansas Jayhawks for some type of payment, and there's a recorded phone call with someone from Nike when they were talking about probably paying Zion to hurt Adidas. But there's no actual teeth. This is just smoke, and it's nothing that Zion himself has said or anyone in Zion's family. So, again, just kind of important, pay attention to it. But that's the end game here is to try to get one of these guys on a deposition stand. And then, when you're sworn under oath, you can't really hide behind discovery. You can't hide behind motions. And obviously, this could be potential ramifications for Duke in all of this.
Dan Lust, by the way, attorney, sports law analyst, heard on Detrimental on Twitter, Conduct Detrimental, ESPN, Sirius XM, CBS, Fox Sports, Rising Star, by the way, on at Super Lawyers. He and Daniel Wallach do the podcast together. Man, is now the time where there is more legal? I know it's been this way since really back with Curt Flood and Marvin Miller. It seems like that's when it all kind of started. Is now sports law and the interest in it at an all-time high because so many people are involved crossways in so many lawsuits and threats?
I mean, it's seeming like it. This COVID situation has really, just brought up the need for lawyers in this context, particularly when it comes to something as simple as force majeure, which, I spent a lot of time talking about over the past couple months. Of all the major sports, there was only one that had planned for any type of epidemic or a pandemic to cancel a season. That was the NBA. And that's a pretty basic concept in force majeure contracts. But as smart as baseball is, and I'm sure they have fantastic attorneys, football, no one had any type of epidemic or pandemic language. So just kind of an interesting example. Lawyers are going to be involved in all this, especially in a time like now where we're just these uncharted territories. I know we had an antitrust lawsuit in the NCAA context, but between fair pay to play and what we're dealing with COVID, a lot of issues hitting really across the country. So for me as a sports attorney, sports analyst, I've never been busier than I've been since the pandemic started.
Yeah, and that's why we have you on, Dan. Thank you so much for jumping on with us. Good luck with what you're doing.
My pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Dan Lust at Sports Law Lust, Lust on Twitter. Attorney, sports law analyst, all these particular networks, including being a part of SicEm365 Radio as well. It's just, it's everywhere. Everything.
Yeah.
Like Zion Williamson's, he's saying that he was, that's gotten so convoluted.
Yeah, I don't think that's ultimately going to go anywhere.
So he's saying because he was underage when he signed the deal to get paid to attend Duke?
Yeah.
He's admitting it then.
I don't know how any of this stuff works with the NCAA.
I don't either.
All that. I mean, it seems pretty clear cut. but it's not. It's very much not clear cut. So we need guys like him to help explain it to us all. But that's a story that
the sad thing about that is the whole thing could come out and Zion could be totally admitting, yes, I took money, yes, I took this, yes, I took that. This is what happened. They could have him dead to rights. But really, I mean, he didn't do violating whatever contract you have there, he didn't do anything illegal under the laws of the United States of America if he took money. Taking money to play at college, there's no law. There's a rule in the NCAA, but there's no big law against it so much.
I don't know who his attorney is, but someone at
But
Duke,
if he admits it, if that happens and they just this is what Zion said. Here's all the discovery. Here's everything. You don't even need to investigate this. The NCAA would still take 6 years to figure it out. And nothing would happen.
And then he'll, by then, 6 years into, hopefully he's healthy. I saw a note.
They have 6 other Zions by then.
Yeah, I saw a note where he is ready to go when the season does kickstart back up again. What would be an interesting over-under? How many games Major League Baseball, at least regular season games they play, out of the 60? The NFL, 16. College football, the main regular season is 12. Everybody gets in 12. There's conference championship games, whatever. Not including the playoffs or bowl games. Which one of those sports is most likely to get closer to the number of the max of a regular season? And I don't know how many the NBA. What's the NBA? 28, 30, whatever they're doing?
Yeah, I don't even.
Yeah, well, baseball, hockey, and the NBA won't. Of course, the NBA already had a bunch of games already. So
I'm talking about from going forward. That's why I didn't include the NBA and NHL. Baseball's got 60.
Yeah.
NFL would be 16.
I think
college football, counting non-conference and the regular season, you're looking at 12. Not the conference championship games or anything else.
I think the NFL.
Yeah, I guess the NFL. I mean, they have the fewest games.
The PGA Tour, Leon's saying that they canceled this upcoming tournament. I didn't see that. I thought that just players had withdrawn. That, in fact, the commissioner said that just a handful of players is not going to shut them down. But maybe I haven't seen the update on that.
Well, the PGA Tour says that they are going to expand COVID testing in order to further secure the bubble in the wake of more positives this week of the Travelers. If the Travelers has been canceled, then that must have come out in the last 5 minutes because everything in the last hour is all about what the commissioner has been talking about as far as safety concerns. But they have had 5 players have to withdraw.
One of them was a family member who just won last week in Webb Simpson. Graham McDowell's caddy, positive, he's out. Brooks Koepka and his caddy, who played with Graham McDowell and company the day before, out. So they're 2 weeks into it. They had Fort Worth, and then they had the Heritage, and now they have the Travelers. And it looks like they're full go to play this weekend in the Travelers Championship, at least for now. Of course, that means round one's tomorrow. They backed away. Remember, they were at the Players Championship after that night, Thursday night. They had the first round. Matsuyama shot 63 in a great tournament, and next morning they were shut down. So we'll see what happens there. All right, 424 coming up next. There are a lot of big names that have played wide receiver at Baylor the last decade, and then there are some that are unsung and sometimes overlooked, and Jay Lee's one of them. Former Baylor wide receiver Jay Lee next on SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-through open and convenient and clean in-store location, corner of Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco. Balcones in stock. Single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, brimstone. I got a bottle of Rumble there. Fantastic. Love it. And again, I've done the drive-through window. You just drive up, you tell them what you want, they go get it, hand it to you, you give them their money, and you're on your way. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, hidden gem in Waco, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com. Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, Bod Pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
Thrown out to the flat. It's Levi Norwood, and now he's going to throw to Jay Lee. Big play inside the 15, down at the 11-yard line.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Thanks to Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Thanks to Lance Aldridge, Richard Goff, Richard Carr, and the great staff at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. We're now joined by Jay Lee. And when I think of Jay Lee, I always think of somebody catching a touchdown. It's like Jay Lee, catch, touchdown. Averaged 20 yards per catch his senior year And, of course, Baylor went on to hammer North Carolina and Florida in a bowl game. Jay Lee joins Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, and I'm David Smoke. Hey, man, how you been, Air Traffic? Always remember that Twitter name. Love that Twitter name. I remember we asked you about that Twitter name, but how you been, young man?
I've been good, real blessed. Just thankful to be in the position I'm in today, and from where I was 4 or 5 years ago. So I've been good.
Craig, you did a long podcast with Jay, and I think it might have been even a year ago, back in October. We'll let you start this off.
Season.
Yeah, during the season. I mean, it was lengthy, it was informative, but I'll let you. You want to get into it first, or so? What do you miss the game? How much do you miss the game?
I miss the game a lot. It just taught you a lot playing football. All my life and being around guys that you consider as brothers and to have fun with. So a game like football brings a lot of people together, and it makes a big impact on your life.
That offense that you guys ran was so ridiculously potent and high-flying and all that. Did you ever step on the field and think that you guys weren't going to score a touchdown?
I always thought we was going to score a touchdown because, we always came in with a good game plan, and, we had guys that were willing to go down the field and make plays, and, it just came second nature. We were scoring like 8 seconds, so, other guys are ready to get out there and score again.
Jay, can you describe the mindset of the team? I mean, the mindset of the offense you just laid out there as far as feeling like you guys were going to score on anybody, but, I mean, you guys felt like y'all could beat anybody. And I know there were some games that maybe got a little bit more jacked up for, but a lot of that stemmed from people that we've talked to from the way that you guys practiced. Can you describe how important the practices were and how the games were, almost simple in some ways because of what you guys did during the rest of the week?
Well, I mean, when we go into practice, Coach Kyle really set the tone with having the strength and conditioning guys right there with us. As soon as we run out on the field, so they're already getting us jacked up before we even get out there. And then when we get out there, it's just all about, being on time, having the right timing on routes, and knowing your assignments, alignments, techniques, and just putting in the effort. So, we knew going into, the week and into the games that as long as we did those 4 things, we would be great.
What was it like? We had Tevin Reese on last week, and he said that you guys knew when you lined up who was going to be the one that hit the big play, what was going to be open. And that doesn't mean every single time, but you just knew because of all the repetitions, and you also just knew that offense so well and what the defense could do. What was the power? What was that power like, knowing that guy's he's dead?
It felt good, to be honest, because we picked and choose our battles. We watch film all day, every day, and we could even take our iPad home with us and watch film as well. So just knowing we got this guy, or we could put this series in, and we can run 3 people at that same guy back to back to back. It just put them in that much of a bond.
You had so many different types of wide receivers on that roster. You had guys, you're a big, tall guy, stretch the field, especially in those tight, red zone situations. You had Levi. Who was the best in your estimation that you played with?
I think everybody came with some sort of, a different talent and ability. And, Levi was one of those guys that was smooth. He ran his route so smooth, and, he could get open however he wanted to. Corey, same way. He had speed behind him. Tevin was fast, had speed behind him. Katie, the same way. I think everybody just used their abilities and just knew how to get open. So that was the same with all those guys. I mean, they all were, great to me.
Jay, when I talked to you a few months back, I mean, Baylor was in the midst of their season. They'd go on to play in the Big 12 championship game and had another close contest with Oklahoma. They just couldn't get over that Sooners hump. And then the Sugar Bowl appearance versus Georgia. Matt Rule's gone now, obviously. There's a new coaching staff. But before we get to the new guys, just your thoughts on the way the Bears played last year and what they were able to do.
After that talk we had, I think that was Kansas State.
Yeah, right there, yeah.
Yeah, the same thing I talked about then. They went out there and, they put it together, and those guys bought in, and I think they really impressed, in Coach Rule's last year. And so, they did everything they had to do. And then they went into the bowl game and, they tried to take care of business, So they just did everything right.
You
and
came.
They played it by the book.
You came from Allen High School, and I think it's fair to say that you were there when it was starting to explode. And then, of course, they had the state championships that started to come, not every year, but they had the Kyler Murray run or whatever. What did you see back then? I think your last year was 2010, that you could see that Allen was about to be, hit the mother load?
I really think it's just the coaching and, having the players around each other. And, we just all kind of just, we banded together like brothers. And, once that first one came, it felt like they were just going to come nonstop. So, I think I started early, with Coach Westerberg and Coach Fleener. Those guys really put a lot of time and effort into the offensive scheme and, defensive side with Coach Gamble when he was there, and all our guys, we just bought in. We just put in the time. We had the whole town behind us. Every game we played, there was like 18,000 people there. So I guess that just kind of gave us that extra boost.
You were on the you were a sophomore when you beat Fort Pitt, when you beat Hightower. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was when it kind of started all of this run from the Allen Eagles. Jay Lee, former Beta wide receiver, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Is there a game that you didn't lose that much when you're there? Is there a game that still bothers you wish you had back?
I think it was my senior night. I didn't get to play because I got hurt, and we ended up – well, actually, I'll take that back. I think it was my junior year when we played Euless Trinity, some guys like Suleiman and Brian Nance. We played those guys, and they ended up beating us in the second round of the playoffs, and that one kind of hurt because we were going back and forth, and it came down to the wire, and they made a stop, and they ended up advancing and going and winning the state championship. That one just always sits in the back of my mind.
Bring up Brian Nance. He's on the staff. He's been doing some things with Baylor the last couple of seasons, getting involved in recruiting and things like that. Just give us a scouting report on Nance, the recruiter. You see him being good in that area?
I do. I think he's real football minded. He has a football background. He's done everything the right way, and as far as he's played for a powerhouse, and then he went and played for Baylor as well with me. So I think he'll be good in what he's doing now.
How difficult was that 2015 year with the team, with Seth Russell, the injuries, how good you were, and how unfortunate that thing ended?
It was very unfortunate. We had to overcome a lot of adversity that whole year. We went into the season knowing we could run the tables and we can do what we can and we can get to the big game, and unfortunate circumstances happen, and so we had to work with what we had to, and I think we did that with Jared and then with CJ and then Link. So we just had to work with what we had to work with, and I think it came all together. It came right. We got our bowl win. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
No kidding. You guys hammered North Carolina. You had a couple of catches for 32 yards. Did you ever think you guys could win a game like that? Well, you did against UCLA. I'm not sure if you were on that. Yeah, you were. You were on that team that pounded you. Yeah. Was North Carolina, even though that was the Wildcat with Jefferson, were those games, UCLA and North Carolina bowl games, similar because you just crushed people with the running game?
Oh yeah, and then the crazy thing about it is we went into the game knowing that they had a good run stop defense, and we still ran it at them. Like we wasn't backing down from nothing. So I mean, those games really mean a lot. I mean, it puts a lot of pressure on the receivers and the outside guys, on the edge to go and block. But if we can win a game like that, that just make our job more easy.
Amazing stat from that game. There were 10 passes caught that night for Baylor. Jay had 2 of them. KD had 4 of them. Ishmael Zamora, Penning, and Terrence Williams had 2. 10 catches, Jay, 84 rushes, 645 yards on the ground, and then the 10 catches still had 111 yards. There's still 10 yards of pop. That's just incredible to me.
Right.
Man.
How difficult, and you mentioned 2015, that's when a lot of things started to kind of swirl. That's when Sean Oakman, was it Sam Mukawachu? In fact, that's when that came down right before, as you guys, in fact, were working out in August. And then the dark clouds just continued to hover. You had a great team. How difficult was that, hearing so many things about the program, whether they were true or not?
It was very difficult because I think we each held everyone accountable and towards a high standard. And some things didn't even happen the way that they were being portrayed. And so for me to see the program go down like that, I mean, I had Jimmy with me in Detroit, and we would hear people saying, "Oh, that's how it happened at Baylor," and it wasn't even like that. We were all just a band of brothers. Everybody held each other accountable, and we did the right thing. And then you see the guys, they come out and they just been put in a bad spot, and they didn't even do what they said they did. So like, it was very difficult to hear back in 2015 after we left. And then some coaches are getting their shot, their second chance, but they should never had a second chance. They should have still been on their first chance because the things that they said happened never happened.
Denzel Mims is now in the NFL, Jay, and I don't know how much you watched his game closely or not, but for a guy who's going to have big expectations, just what are your thoughts on Denzel, and what advice, as somebody who went through the pro football process yourself, would you give him?
My advice that I would give him is to go in there with his head down, do everything he can, watch film, ask questions. Don't be scared to ask questions because some of those vets, you'll have those vets and they'll help you out. And they'll help you out because they want you to succeed as well. You have some guys that don't want to help out, but that's why you have a coach, and that's why you have an iPad and you have the film study. So as long as you just go in, ask questions, do the right thing, be at the right spot when he's supposed to be, and just be one of those guys that take in a lot of information, he'll be successful. But just watching this game, it speaks for itself. He's 6'4", 6'5", big body, big frame. He can make any catch that you throw at him, and he uses his speed, crazy speed that he used that he displayed at the combine. I didn't know he had, but you see it then, and you're like, wow, he can do a lot of great things, moving forward.
I have a question for you at the wide receiver position. You went to the NFL with Detroit. You had some chances, I think, in the Canadian League as well. You heard about wide receivers coming out of Baylor. Some made it, some didn't. It's a hard league. It's hard. The NFL is really, really hard to play in. But did you struggle with what you heard, at least during that time, about receivers and the so-called route tree? Did that create any problems for you?
I don't think it did because, most people think we don't run a route tree at Baylor, but we actually do, and we work on that every single practice right before we even start our full practice. So when they say that we can't run the route tree and this and that, you just let that go in one ear and out the other because everybody wherever you go runs a route tree. It's second nature to us. It's nothing that we don't know how to do.
You know what's crazy to me is when Denzel was coming out, there were still people that were putting that label on him.
Yeah.
And so, just crazy.
It's just that's laziness from analysts that just say, okay, that's the same thing, and things had changed dramatically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Jay, you played with a lot of fast guys, and we've had some various conversations. We've had a ton of former players on, and we're going to have, second rounds with guys to ask more questions. But if you had to line up one player that you played alongside or saw while you were at Baylor to win a race, just say like a 100-meter, 40-yard dash or whatever, who are you lining up? Who are you taking to win a race?
Who I'm taking? Oh, that's a good one because you had Tevin, you had Katie, you had Corey. You had a lot of fast people, but man, if I had to choose one.
Bryce Petty.
What about Lake? Are you talking about wide receivers, Craig?
Yeah, okay. Or just the fastest.
Yeah, are we thinking of wide receivers? Or are we going
anybody? Yeah,
anybody. Man, Lake was in there. Kendall was in there too. Robert. Ooh.
Forget about
it. Yeah, he's pretty fast.
Man, that's all I want to pick. I just got to put all of them on the line.
You mean the Olympic quality hurdler?
We're sitting there throwing out numbers, names, and hell, he was an Olympic track guy. He could have been. Oh, yeah. I'll make sure I'll make sure we let him know that we did bring him up in that conversation as well.
Make sure he knows. That's my guy.
I'll tell you who Tevin thinks it is. Tevin.
Tevin thinks
Oh, yeah. He going to say it off the rip.
I think Tevin could take a pair of ripped up sneakers right now and do it.
By the way.
I think he don't even need no sneakers.
but by the way, our old intern, Caroline Lindstrom, who is friends with Max Muncy, and also Jay. You remember Caroline from Baylor. She's listening right now. She says KD wins in a race.
Caroline's KD Cannon.
Yeah.
Hey Jay, thank you, buddy. I love the smile. You always had a smile. Appreciate that.
I
Don't
got it
lose
on me
okay?
right now.
Great talking to you. Great talking to you.
Yes, sir. It's great talking to y'all. I hope we get on again.
Yes, sir. At @airtraffic_Lee 4. Baylor alumnus, went to Allen High School, picked by or drafted or I guess signed by the Lions, played in I think the Canadian League for a little bit, and now he's just kind of working with his father in a business.
Yeah, and he was a great guy to talk to once again, and I just wish we could have gone back in time and lined up like the 6 fastest guys: Lake, Lake, Reese, Robert, Corey, Kendall, and just let them go. Like 40-yard dash or whatever the heck. That would have been a lot of fun.
All right, coming up next, football coach Tommy Brashear at 5 o'clock. We'll hear from John Machota. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Are you trying to sell your home? Are you trying to find a new house? Well, Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, let them be your go-to source as you search for your perfect home. Call Lance 254-214-3713. Online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. Lance is a great guy, a fantastic listener. He is going to find details that you didn't even know that you wanted in a house. He's going to ask you great questions. He's going to be fun to go look at houses with, and that's what you want in a realtor. Someone who cares, someone who listens, and someone who you're going to have fun going and looking at maybe 20, 25 houses. You don't know how many you looked at. Believe me, when I went and looked for my house, I must have looked at 15, 18, 20, I don't know. A lot of houses to find the one that I moved into. Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team at eXp Realty, 254-214-3713.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
These make a great pair. Each are phenomenal bargains from Allen Samuels. The new 2020 Jeep Cherokee and new 2019 Dodge Journey. Save thousands now as we drive forward into summer. Journey, the great American crossover with third row seating, just $16,995 for select qualified buyers. And the Go Anywhere Jeep Cherokee, just $29.90 and eligible for first responder $500 bonus cash. Journey, Jeep Cherokee, summer bargains from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
You know, you have programs that are just always in the mix. Yo High School, the Yeoman, always in the mix. They've been a part of 6 state championship game appearances, winning 4 of those. The first one back in 81 when they beat Gilmer the last time they were in the state championship game. I swear, I promise you I was there. Trayon Smith goes down. Otherwise, they win that game. They lost to Brock in the championship game. And he's been a part of a lot of these. Tommy Brashear, head football coach at Yo, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Coach, to be a part of a program, no different than what Kevin Hoffman has to do at Mart or other programs like it around the state, what's it like knowing the standard that you have to meet?
Well, you know, we have high expectations, obviously, with our tradition and our history. And to me, that's one of the fun things about being a part of Cameron Yo, is that tradition and the high expectations. I've been in other programs before where that wasn't the case. You know, there was kind of more of a hope that maybe we can be this or hope we can be this. But here it's expected, you know, this is what's expected of the kids. It's what's expected of the coaches and the coaching staff. And I prefer that any day over low expectations. And I just love being a part of it. It's a great place, great kids, great town.
Your son was your quarterback for the last couple of years. What's it going to be like not coaching him this year?
Well, you know, that was a special time. I really enjoyed coaching Braden, and I think he enjoyed it most days. But you know, it was a lot of fun. I don't miss that, but you know, that's you know, and he and I both know that wasn't going to last forever, and I think we both kind of cherished and enjoyed that time together. And you know, he's going on to A&M. He's got on there as a manager for the team there, an equipment manager, and so he's still going to be around sports and everything, and you know, working on his school degree and all that. So I think he's kind of in his mind looking forward to that and moving on to the next part of his life. And you know, that's part of life. You know, things like that come and go, and we got to move on as well. I've got 2 more younger children that are coming up through the program, and another son and another daughter, and you know, it was special for all of us. But it'll be different, but it'll be the same as well. We're gonna do the same stuff we do, and we're gonna try and improve every day and go out there and get the win and compete and play hard. And hopefully he'll get to come around and see some of it. Working with A&M, he may not be able to be here as much, but anyway, you know, it was a special time and something I'm glad I got to experience in life, and I think he's glad he got to experience it too.
Coach, we've had a lot of other coaches on who have spoken about how it's disappointing that you guys can't have the normal spring ball or the normal practice setups, the way that everything is. But if there has been a benefit, it's that a lot of guys have been able to spend more time at home than they normally would, or just be around to do activities they normally wouldn't be able to do. Have you had that experience as well?
I have. I've spent a lot more time with the family. I'll tell you this. I think a lot of our kids, I know you don't see them every day, so you don't notice them grow as much, but we've got them up here working in the summer workouts now, and I've seen a lot of growth in our kids, just physical growth. My middle son is going to be a junior, and he's gained 20-something pounds, and I think it's just because he's had a little more time off and not as much. And I was trying to keep him busy at home and stuff, but and I've seen a lot of other kids that gained some weight and matured a little bit and grown, and we've got a ton of kids coming up here in the summer workouts more than ever. But miss those kids. I think they're tired of being cramped up at home and ready to get out, and I'm glad they're coming up here. Our summer numbers, like I said, have been better than ever. But we are going to be young and experienced next year. Kind of touching on your question a little bit, and so missing those spring workouts is concerning to us. But a lot of other people in the same boat, I guess, as far as missing those workouts. Although they may have more experience, some of them coming back than us. But our kids been here working hard this summer. We're getting to do some football drills and skills, and trying to catch up a little bit. It's been a plus for us so far.
Is Zachorian Spikes the next great skill player to come out of Yo?
I think so. Yes, sir. He's got tremendous speed. He takes care of business in the classroom. I'm looking forward to seeing what Zachorian can do this year. He had a great year as a junior last year for us as an outside receiver. Probably we're going to have to get the ball in his hands. He's going to be the guy we got to, we may have to put him in the backfield some, or move him inside receiver some, and put him in motion some. But when people start game planning for him, but he's a guy that we definitely want the ball in his hands as much as we can get it in there. He'll be a guy that he'll play some defense for us too in the secondary. Really good athlete, smart kid, good kid. Glad he's on our team.
Your thoughts, District 11, 3A Division I with Caldwell Academy, Lorena dropping down from 4A, McGregor, Rockdale, Troy, some of those teams you've seen before. Obviously the great rivalry with Rockdale. Your thoughts about Lorena now joining the fray in 3A Division I?
So, we've scrimmaged Lorena every year for as far back as I can remember, and they're always, their kids always play hard and play tough, and they're always extremely well coached. I love Coach Biles. He's a great guy, great coach, definitely a mentor to me in the coaching realm growing up throughout the years. But, they're going to be a challenge. I think they'll be definitely a contender in our district. I think they'll be somebody to watch out for. Very tough district overall. Rated, Dave Campbell's rating us one of the toughest 3A district again, from what I understand. And I would have to agree with him. I think it's a talented district, top to bottom, even more so than it has been in the past, with the addition of Lorena and then McGregor coming back in and things like, and Caldwell coming back in. Caldwell's kind of a program on the rise a little bit, it seems like. So, very tough district. You better be ready to go from 1 week to the next.
Tommy Brashear, head coach at Yo, 11-2 last year to close out the year.
11-2, yes, sir.
And really the last couple of years, you've had no problem scoring points. You had the one weird year in 17, and it's just like almost like an eclipse. What did you learn about yourself that year as a coach?
Well, we faced a lot of adversity that year. I learned that I can handle the bad with the good. I learned that you've got to, and you get up each day. We have high expectations, like we talked about at the beginning of this.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't reaching those expectations that year, and as far as the year goes, we did not. And I know our kids were down about that, and our coaching staff was down about it, and we all were. Our community was, but you can learn a lot from those years, and we learned a lot as a coaching staff. There's some things I would have done different looking back on it. I might have had a different kid in a different position here and there, and thought that might have helped us, but. You look back on those things and you learn from your mistakes, or you think, hindsight's, 20/20, they say, and you see some things you might would have done different here or there. But we lost a lot of close games that year, but it all boils down to in that year, to be honest with you, in the big scheme of things, we had a hard time running the ball that year, and we had a hard time stopping the run that year on defense as well. So, and that's, and we still competed and we played hard, and we were in some close games, but that's what it all came down to in the end.
Tommy,
when you look at it close.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Good luck with the workout. Staying safe as well. and enjoy whatever summer's left. What I don't even know if I guess this is summer, but it just seems weird. But
it seems like it's been summer for a while.
Yeah, since like mid-March.
Right.
Thanks for your time, my man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
His son Braden, by the way, was an academic all-star this year, the 2019-2020 academic all-stars team. And Tommy, very nice with a couple of text messages about the program. When we come back, we'll have John Machota, the Athletic, on the Cowboys. Wrote an article about examining the Cowboys feud that still smolders. Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. What did Zeke have to say today in his interview about the coronavirus and how he's bounced back? This is SicEm365 Radio. Right now, get 0% financing for 72 months and no payments for 90 days on a bunch of new vehicles. When you think about the summer, think Jeep, perfect SUV that takes you anywhere. The all-new Jeep Gladiator. Employee pricing for everyone. 2019 Rams that are left, 0% for 72 months. The new 2020 Ram 4x4 Lone Stars now feature $10,200 in value, in values, yes. Also just announced other offers, including additional incentives on these vehicles. 2019 Dodge Journey, $500 consumer cash, $1,000 on the new 220s, 2020, $750 consumer cash on the new 2019 Caravans, $1,000 off on the new 2020s, an additional $1,000 consumer cash on the new 2019 Ram chassis cabs. All of that plus more discounts for those who are first responders and help medically. It's Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Howdy, this is Tommy Brashear, head football coach at Cameron Yo High School, and you're listening to SicEm365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalino, and Craig Smoke. Go Yo!
Well, I have to tell you that we're pretty proud here at Pickup Outfitters. The mayor of the city of Waco chose to deputize Pickup Outfitters into the Waco Mask Police Force. Now, we weren't necessarily looking to be deputized. We've been pretty busy fighting truck nudity, but hey, we're law-abiding citizens. The threat of a $1,000 fine if we didn't join the Mask Police Force also had something to do with it. So please, bring your mask with you to Pickup Outfitters. And if you don't have one, we'll provide one previously unused. And we have a couple of other requests. First, wear a mask that covers your mouth and nose but not your eyes, especially when driving to Pickup Outfitters. Second, we do have hand sanitizer, which you are welcome to use on your hands. Do not try to drink our hand sanitizer. Even if you add orange juice, it's still not a mimosa. And third, we have everything you need to outfit your naked truck. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Check us out online at createacommotion.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
Under 6 to play. Newton is in trouble, and down he goes. DeMarcus Lawrence.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments, with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing his time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
We have to, if we can, at some point go back and discuss Jay Errett. And Pickup Outfitters. He writes the commercials as well as anyone can ever write them. With what he does and with a sense of humor, a little darkness. We have joined the police mask force. All right, we're joined by John Machota. John, today, examining the Cowboys feud that still smolders, Jerry Jones and Jimmy Johnson. Want to get into that. But, John, I also saw that you retweeted a video. I guess it was Zeke Elliott with Jory Epstein. Anything in particular did Zeke have to say, and how's he feeling?
Did a interview today with it was on Twitch, one of the sites that they do video games through and stuff like that, and he just was asked for an update about how he's been doing now that he's diagnosed as being positive with the coronavirus, and he said it really didn't have too much of an impact on him. He just for a couple days he had a little bit of a cough and a little bit of shortness of breath, but nothing like real serious. And so, they want you to take 2 weeks to kind of quarantine, but he's taking an extra week just to be sure. But he looked to be in good health, and he said that he feels great. He feels normal. So that's obviously a good sign for him and for the Cowboys, that's for sure. And it doesn't seem like the people in the NFL that have gotten it or tested positive have had significant symptoms or anything like that where they've had to go to the hospital. But, you just never know if that ends up being the case with somebody, All
right, why did Dak sign the franchise tag, and how much does this give him leverage or what?
Well, I mean, technically at any point, if he didn't sign it, the Cowboys could always rescind it and take it back, not that they were going to do that. But, I mean, that's just a small thing in there. I just think he got to the point where it's like he's not going to miss training camp, and so this locks him in. I mean, now he's contractually obligated to be at training camp, and so that's one of those deals right there where that helps, because I don't think there's very much communication going on up to this point between Dak Prescott and new coach Mike McCarthy, and so now everyone should be on the same page whenever training camp starts and ready to go. But I don't think that was any type of a sign that they're any closer than they were maybe a week before. And I didn't think it was a huge deal, because I just don't see Dak being the type of guy that's going to miss training camp or potentially sit out games like Le'Veon Bell did a couple years ago. So he's all in for this season by signing that, and if they don't work anything out, he gets $31 million guaranteed this year. So that's pretty good too on his behalf. So that's just kind of where it's at. But yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it in them being any closer. It doesn't seem like it's any closer than it was. I think there'll be one final push, and that'll be right before the deadline on July 15th, and we'll find out more then.
John, obviously this has been the story all off-season long. I mean, is it kind of reassuring for you that you don't have to answer the questions, or does this create a whole lot of new questions in regards to Dak?
Well, it depends on what happens. As of right now, there's not many new questions. But then, what if Deshaun Watson signs a new contract, or Patrick Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson? Right. Then that just continues to change the market. So, as of right now, sure, but that can always change quickly, And so, there's just a lot of uncertainty about what they're going to be able to do when training camp will start, what's going on there, and so. You also got to factor in there is just like, how is he going to be playing in a new system? It's not going to be a completely new system, obviously, but it's a new head coach who's an offensive-minded coach. So there's going to be some adjustments and things like that. So it makes sense for him to get this put behind him. So there isn't going to be any holding out and potentially missing training camp and things like that, so that he can hit the ground running, because obviously he's got a ton of weapons around him. So he's set up very nicely that if he stays healthy, he should be able to put up big numbers again with what he has around him, not only on the offensive line, but at wide receiver, tight end, and running back.
As a beat reporter, and we've discussed this with you almost once a month, the kind of things that you have to deal with when you cover the Cowboys, and other beat reporters have a lot to do as well. But with Dak signing, is that something that allows you to not have to worry about that, at least like it was like a daily thing, or did you even allow it to bother you that much anyway?
I probably didn't allow it to bother me on a daily thing, just because I've always felt like it's going to eventually get done. But even with this, I still think that there's still so much that can change. Even though if they don't get a deal done by July 15th, then he plays this whole year, there won't be any negotiating during the season. So that'll take that part away, as we dealt with last year, obviously. Throughout the year, it was the constant, like, well, is there anything new to report? And it turned out that between basically the start of the season and then February at the Combine, there was really no talk at all, but it still was a popular storyline. Whereas now it'll be one of those things where they won't be able to negotiate a new contract with him until the season's over. So I think it removes a little bit of a distraction there. But like I said, I really think that it just comes right back up as soon as one of those other quarterbacks signs a new deal.
All right, so you wrote the column on Jerry and Jimmy and that their feud is still there. Do you think that after the Hall of Fame that the Ring of Honor will be next, or do you think Jerry will just still hold that out?
I really don't know. It's crazy that it hasn't happened yet. So no, nothing would surprise me on that. Now is the feud what it was in 1994? No, but to say that, like, they had I remember I was at this thing a few years back where they had Trey and set this thing up for everybody. It was the 25th anniversary of the 92 Super Bowl. And I just remember, Jimmy was there and Jerry was there, and there was a lot of talk of just how, like, yeah, they buried the hatchet and everything's good. And then it's like, yeah, and then that kind of gets put behind. And then Jerry's asked about putting him in the Ring of Honor, and he kind of blows that off a little bit. Well, then now Jimmy's in the Hall of Fame, and you would think, well, if he's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he needs to be in the Ring of Honor. And when Jerry's asked about that, he just doesn't want to talk about it. And I don't know. I just find it interesting that it just seems like there's still a little something there. And honestly, I don't know that it goes away until Jerry Jones wins another Super Bowl. So it looks like, hey, I did it on my own. I didn't need Jimmy, because he even knows, even the one with Switzer, people still give Jimmy credit for that. He needs to win on his own. Jason Garrett would have been the perfect person to win with, because it would have been his handpicked guy. But until he gets past that, I don't know. It's almost like with Kobe and Shaq. Like, even though they were teammates at one point, the dislike and the competitiveness against each other, like who had more championships, still burned like until the end of their careers and things like that. So I don't know. As long as Jerry Jones is running the Dallas Cowboys, I always think that there'll be kind of a little bit of animosity there, a little bit of not fully on board. But eventually one day Jimmy Johnson will be in the Ring of Honor. He deserves to be in there, but I don't know if it'll be while he's alive. Who knows? I can't really tell you for sure. It's all up to Jerry Jones. He's the deciding factor.
I didn't know this. Landry was fired in '89, but I did not realize 5 years later then he's inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think he had to wait 5 years. I believe he did. I did not realize that he was not in the Ring of Honor before the Hall of Fame. But man, you talk about some edginess with the way he was fired, even if Jerry had a right to do it or what. I didn't realize that he was not in the Ring of Honor before the Hall of Fame. And there's some other Cowboys players people have used that against them, have they not? But not with Jimmy, but they have with some other players like Bob Hayes and others.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you just bring that up about the Tom Landry thing. Now, I know that after he fired Landry, there was definitely some bad blood between the two of them there. And I believe he wanted to put Tom Landry in the Ring of Honor immediately. I don't think Tom Landry really wanted to come back right away and do the whole ceremony and that. And finally, eventually, he gave in. I think possibly some of his former players, other people in the organization, might have talked him into doing it. So I think Jerry wanted to do that right away, and Tom Landry didn't really want to deal with it at the time, because I think he was pretty angered with how everything went down. So I think that was a factor in that one. But it was interesting at the Combine this year, when Jerry's on the bus and he's asked about putting Jimmy in the Ring of Honor. And he pointed that out. He's like, well, Tom Landry went in the Hall of Fame before he went in the Ring of Honor, so Jimmy can follow in his footsteps. And as they're the two best coaches in Cowboys history. That's the thing about Jerry. He'll always point out how great Jimmy is as a coach. He's never, even in his statement he put out after it was announced that Jimmy was getting in the Hall of Fame, it was, about him being such a great coach. Where the problems lie is that they both argue over who had all the control over the personnel moves. And I can see why you would argue about something like that, because they put together one of the greatest dynasties in sports in the 90s. But you read enough things, you see enough things, it's pretty obvious that Jimmy Johnson was the architect. He was the football guy for all that. Jerry was great with business, and obviously he's made himself a ton of money. But in terms of the actual football moves, the trades, the drafting, that was Jimmy. He was the personnel guy, and he deserves the credit for that. I don't know that Jerry's quite ready to give him the credit for that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, John, what are the Cowboys sending to New York for Jamal Adams?
Well, I would think they would have to start with at least a first-round pick. I mean, they were willing to give him a first-round pick last year at the trade deadline, and the Jets wanted more. There were a couple different reports, little different rumors, whether it was a second or third-round pick on top of that, and the Cowboys weren't willing to part with that as well. And I think around a first-round pick would make sense. Obviously, they did that with Amari Cooper a couple years ago. The thing is, though, it's just like with Amari Cooper, you don't do that deal unless you think that you can sign it long-term. And while Jamal Adams wants to come to the Cowboys, he's not coming on a discount. He wants to be one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid, defensive backs in the game. And so, you're trying to pay Dak Prescott. You just paid DeMarcus Lawrence and Ezekiel Elliott and Amari Cooper, Zach Martin. I mean, the list goes on and on. Like, you can't sign everybody. And so I think it makes sense for Jamal Adams to stay the Cowboys because it keeps him in the spotlight and everyone's talking about him. I mean, he's one of the biggest stories this offseason because of how he's handled wanting to be traded from the Jets. And because of that, bringing the Cowboys up, that makes it even more of a headline. But I just don't see it happening. If I'm the Jets, I'm not trading him to the team that he wants to go to. So, if I'm the Jets, I look at the Cowboys and this team should be pretty solid. Like, at very worst, they should be middle of the pack. So that gets me a pick in the late teens, early 20s. Like, there's got to be a team out there willing to give you a higher pick than that maybe isn't as good of a team. That maybe is one that you'd rather send him to than sending him to the team that he wants to be with. I mean, it's kind of like the Earl Thomas thing. At some point, why would the team give in and give you to the team that you want to go to after you've done things that obviously they're not happy about?
Yeah, John, when he said that, shouted it out of his car the other day, my first thought was like, oh, shut up, Jamal. Like, come on, man. You know what you've done.
No, I mean, that's not exactly the same thing as going up to after a game and following Jason Garrett into the locker room and saying, hey, if you guys get a chance to come get me like Earl Thomas did. But it's just bizarre, the stuff that happens with the Cowboys. But, I'm learning, I've been here now almost 10 years. I'm learning everybody wants to be a Cowboy, especially if you're a guy like Jamal Adams and you're from the area, then you really want to be a Cowboy. But it's actually more surprising if a player said that they don't want to play for the Cowboys and they don't ever want to go to Dallas or something. Like, that to me is more of a headline than these guys are like, oh, I'd love to be a Dallas Cowboy, because it seems like they all pretty much say that if you ask them.
John, thank you as always. John Machota with us Wednesdays in the 5 o'clock hour from theathletic.com. Covers the Cowboys and does a hell of a job doing it as well. You can read his material at theathletic.com. Now, did you guys see the unveiling of the Rangers ballpark?
Yes, it's not gone well for the Rangers on Twitter.
No, it hasn't. I didn't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why anyone hadn't seen it already. I guess because baseball's been...
But they hadn't closed the roof or done anything. Yeah.
Let me tell you this. The ballpark in Arlington is one of the most beautiful baseball parks. And even in the background of the video or the picture that I see, the aerial view at night or the evening or dusk of Globe Life Field, inside Globe Life Field is going to be amazing. I still think the view and the brick and the structure of the ballpark in Arlington is one of the most beautiful ballparks in Major League Baseball. And it won't be because it's now, I don't know what it's doing because there's no football league anymore either. Craig, have you seen a picture of it?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen a lot of Astros fans piling on
the
look of the ballpark, and I guess that's why Minute Maid is trending in the state of Texas right now. I'm pretty sure that's why it's trending. So, yeah, there were the comparisons to Minute Maid Park. I mean, I really don't care. I really don't care what anybody thinks about the stadium. I really don't even care how much, beauty it has on the outside. I mean, it'd be cool if it was like the Raiders' new stadium that's like super, cool looking in Las Vegas on the outside when you drive by, but it's not that big of a deal to me. That's going to be something that, is a punching bag for fans like Astros fans. But, for me, I really don't care all that much.
Minute Maid Park, I see it. It's kind of in a 3-layer, 3 layers. It's not. I mean, I love the brown. I love the brick structure on the outside.
Yeah,
though. But there's some turquoise there.
The best tweet I did see though was the Rangers play in an abandoned Sam's Club.
An abandoned Sam's Club.
Well, yeah,
but
there's also someone in what Twitter can do. In Twitter, when it's funny, you take the ballpark when it's enclosed, and someone made it look like it was a barbecue grill.
Yeah.
They just opened up the grill. There's some sausage there.
Yeah.
But
it's not the prettiest thing you'll ever see. That's for sure. It's not the sexiest ballpark.
It looks like it's like somebody said here, it looks like a barn.
Here's the thing though, is when they decided to build a indoor ballpark, my thoughts never went to what's it going to look like on the outside when I drive up? What's it going to how nice is it going to be on the outside, that area where we don't even spend much time. So as long as it's nice on the inside, I could care less. I mean, it does very much look like a warehouse on the outside. So there's easy jokes to make, but I mean, on the inside, I imagine it's going to be really nice. And on the inside, it's not going to be 150 degrees during, July and August. So I think, whatever shortcut, I don't know if they took shortcut, but whatever you didn't do to fancy up the outside, as long as the inside's cool, that's fine with me.
That's a weird design.
It is.
It's kind of strange. And maybe
it looks like a warehouse.
It does. One of the things that's interesting about this ballpark is
the inside looks fantastic.
I once had a girl break up with me because she said, "No, really, you're really attractive on the inside."
Yeah, that's fair. That is one of those like.
There's one that has it opened up like a can of sardines now.
That is fair though. I mean, if you were to be on the outside of that ballpark, the way that these pictures look. You would not be that impressed, but then when you walk in, you get to know the person a little bit, if you will. Then, you would maybe fall for said person, and maybe that's what happens with fans who show up to the ballpark here, hopefully relatively soon. But, I'm just glad that kind of the project's done. I'm kind of glad that they're not still in the midst of the phases of construction and things like that. I mean, it's done. It's ready to go, and we're going to have baseball played. So we went from complaining about the heat in Arlington, to having the indoor stadium, to getting that finalized, to then not having a season for a little while, but now they're going to have a season in the new ballpark. So that'll be very interesting to see unveiled.
Baseball season, training camps begin July 1st. Games will begin 3 or so weeks after that, 60 games. Rangers will play against their own division and also play against the National League West. 60 games. 5 teams in each league make the playoffs. Extra innings, you start with a runner on second base. A lot of different changes. A lot of new DH for both the American League and National League.
Are y'all against the universal DH or for it?
I'm completely for it because pitchers don't try to learn to hit.
But how now do they ever have consequences for throwing at a hitter in a game where they
your superstars getting plunked?
Yeah, superstars getting plunked. That's what's going to happen. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to see pitchers hit in both leagues. Like but I'm not a baseball purist because I'm not anything sports purist because things have to change as the game adapts and grows and things become available. But I think if the pitchers aren't going to hit, if they're not going to be good hitters, I'd rather just see a better hitter. Even if it's a guy who's going to hit 238, it's better than a guy who's going to hit 111 and just flail at the ball up there.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. And, I love the game of baseball. I love its history. And I had no issues at all with one league having a DH and another league not having it. I'm an American League guy, though, being a Rangers fan growing up. So they used to have a lot of good DHs in Arlington that otherwise would not have had the same opportunities if they were playing over in the National League. So I just grew up with DH baseball, and I'm with you. The main reason being is, even if it's taking away from the purity of the game or whatever, is I don't want to see a guy, and you use the word flailing. That's a great word to use, of pitchers that go up there and you just know it's an automatic out. Like, it's not even a question of this guy is going to get on base or not. And every once in a while you may get surprised, and every once in a while you'll stumble across that pitcher who actually knocks one out of the park.
Madison Bumgarner, according to TJ.
But Bumgarner, for example. But, for every time that he does that, there are hundreds of at-bats that are just wasted. So, I'm for it. I think it'll make it interesting. And those National League teams, talk about dangerous now. We were talking with Max Muncy earlier, and the Dodgers are a great example of a team that should thrive because of this rule.
All right, let's take a break right here. Paul, do we have the if, in fact, the line available?
We'll have to
They'll hear you.
reconnect it.
That's okay.
Yeah, we'll have to reconnect it once we get back on.
TJ said I'm against them hitting, though, as far as pitchers. Here's the question. I put this up. I always screw this up because I put it up on a poll. You can only have 4 answers. Who wins a 40-meter dash among any of the Baylor football players from 2010 to current? No poll. Just give me your top 3. Anybody, any positions, quarterback, wide receiver, running back, DB, 254-339-1122. 254-339-1122. We'll read your feedback as well on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine hotline or text line. We'll put it up on the Willis Law Firm chat room. It's also available if you want to respond on the Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat app and on the Twitter pages. At Deps Right Steps, at Paul Catalina, at Craig Smoke, at David Smoke. Who, and you'd love to hear from you, 254-339-1122. Who wins a 40-meter dash? Any football player at Baylor from 2010 to current. Give us your top 3. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Buick Encores are the perfect crossover SUV with a roomy interior, a quiet ride, the latest safety features, and the latest technology. And right now, a Buick Encore can be yours for only $19,900. It means you save $6,000 on a 2020 Buick Encore when you shop at Richard Car Motors. And they are overloaded with used cars and trucks. Over 25 used trucks in stock at discounted prices. Over 100 vehicles on the lot right now that they want to get moved on along, those pre-owned vehicles. So great deals going on right now, and a lot of great options for you as well. And great service when you purchase a vehicle. Great prices, free oil changes with the new purchase, and in-town priority warranty service all comes when you buy at Richard Car Buick GMC Cadillac. Richard Car Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni that wants the chance to earn your business. So stop by the Daily Disinfected showroom, see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home. Your comfort and safety is their first priority. Find them at richardcar.com, or Highway 6 is the Imperial exit.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Ram, a legend. legend of loyalty, Alan Samuels, legendary customer loyalty. Now bringing you special Ram pricing to kick off summer. Pick the perfect Ram 1500 regular cab with special incentives, including $500 additional first responder bonus cash. Now just $22,990. Or pick up a loaded up new Ram 2500 HD Limited 4x4. The Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Now with up to $12,000 in savings. Drive forward. Ram. From Alan Samuels.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace. Doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Got some really good feedback from Twitter, the text line as well. From if you had a 40-meter dash, any football player at Baylor from 2010 until current, 40 meters, give me your top three. I actually sent text messages out to some of those I thought would be in that conversation. Tevin Reese, Sweet Feet, who we just had on about, a week ago? Or maybe 2 weeks ago. Mikhail Baker,
okay.
Mikhail Baker, Tevin Reese, and then he mentioned this kind of Attorney Bryant, Lake Seastrunk, Lake's KD Cannon would be bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
Mikhail Baker. Yeah, I remember him. Tevin
you want him to be Russian, apparently.
Yeah.
Mikhail.
Yeah. Mikhail Baker, Tevin Reese, and then he said it's kind of a pick-em between Turnus Bryant, Lake Seastrunk, and KD Cannon.
Okay, Smokey, I want to take some phone calls on this, but I'm going to have to connect to the thing.
We got a couple?
Yeah, no, I have to connect now, so people, I didn't want to interrupt the commercials.
Here's what happens. If you call in this segment, 254-339-1122, I'll send you a round of golf. Thanks to Kenny Duran, Cottonwood Creek Golf Course.
And call screener line.
Here's the.
Please enter your show number.
Here's
Enter your 6-digit PIN number.
This is live. We know. We hear it too.
Welcome, host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface.
So 254-339-1122. When you call, you'll be grabbed by this human bot.
This robot, yes.
And they'll kind of tell you, okay, thanks for the call, and we'll know your name will pop up. We'll get all that. But here, by the way, John Settle, who's the coach at Sunnyvale, played on the 83 Dangerfield team. He's the one that caused 2 points to be scored of the 8 with a high snap and a punt. Have to give some consideration to the blocking dummy that took out Sean Patton.
That's a good one. That's pretty quick.
From the boy 400-meter, RG3, Chris Platt, Chance Casey, because Baylor track got them right.
Chance
Casey.
boogie, yeah.
G-Dub, 5.
You know, I'm going to send you his numbers.
RG3, Lake, and Kalen Barnes, with Barnes winning.
Yeah.
We need to see Kalen Barnes get like a pick 6 opportunity this year.
Kick return where
really,
you just poof.
Really open it up and let it go.
Nick Morgan, Lake Seastrunk, Kendall Wright, RG3. Russell Gorman just said flat out Jackson Gleason, the young man from Mansfield.
Yeah, we haven't seen him at all.
No, we haven't.
He's had to deal with injuries. Maybe he's seen a little bit of game action, but nothing that's memorable.
Yeah, we saw him play Midway.
Yeah,
but by point of comparison,
South Lake Carroll, wasn't it? No, it was Mansfield. It was Mansfield, right?
No, it was Mansfield, I think.
Was it Mansfield? I thought it was at.
No, I'm talking about the team he played for.
Yeah, I thought that we saw them play at McLean Stadium, but yeah.
No, they did. They did. What I'm saying is that he went to school at Mansfield. I kept thinking for a second in South Lake.
Yeah. So, but we saw him play there. But by point of comparison, it's tough when it's high school guy. I mean, he looked fast, but again, he was one of the best players on the field that day, no matter what. So in high school, it's a little hard to tell. I knew he was fast, so.
Yeah, we just haven't seen him do it yet. We haven't seen Boogie really open it up or have the opportunity to do so. So that'd be great to see. We haven't seen Gleason hardly at all. So there's some guys that we have a lot of samples of. Obviously, a lot of the guys from like 2010, 2013 era. But some of these new guys, we still haven't seen them really rip it up, although we know, I haven't heard Tyquan Thornton's name yet. I don't know how fast he is considered. I'd have to think he's pretty high up there, though.
Yeah.
But have not heard him mentioned yet, and I'm sure there's some others I'm not thinking of.
People always leave out my guy from Florida. They don't know about that Florida speed, man.
There's another
Dudes
guy
from Florida
that
can run.
Could open it up if he wanted to. So, I think you just take this current team with Jackson Gleason and – again, I don't know if Tyquan would be lumped in. I would think that he would, though. But Kalen Barnes, of course, is always going to get mentioned. You could have a great 5-man race, if not more than that, with just this current team, much less going back all the years. That'd be really fun. Like a charity thing would be really cool, although a lot of those guys are approaching 30 now, so they're not quite maybe as fast as they were.
Well, you think about
Samuel Razor, hold on, Paul. RG3, Chris Platt, you can't leave out his famous track speed, and Tyquan Thornton.
I would think that just based on the overlap that Jay Lee had, he could have, if he was in charge of just picking a 4x100 team to beat people in college football doing it, Baylor had a great shot during the Bryles era of winning a, if you took the 4x1 of of the Bryles era Bears and matched it up with a 4x1 of most any team, they would have been up there. There are obviously other teams that had that kind of talent as well. It just, those guys were just so fast.
Yeah, Baylor just had legit track guys, though.
Yeah.
RG3, when he was being recruited, there were people that still thought he wasn't even going to play football because he was going to run track and try to go to the Olympics and do hurdles. But, he and Platt, to take Platt out of it, but just, Kendall and RG3 and their backgrounds. There's so many combinations you could do, but, other programs, like you said, have fast players, but I don't know how many have, actual track guys like Baylor had.
From Carl, Paul, once you started connecting the call thing, you guys keep cutting out. I'm not hearing anything.
Really?
Deontay, would you mind? It may not be us. Sometimes it is the connectee as well, or the internet of where, in fact, that happens. We haven't had that in almost 3 or 4 weeks, so that's something for us to monitor if, in fact, that is the case. So here's another one that I got. RG3, Katie Cannon, Kendall Wright. So
pretty good.
Yeah. That's also of interest as well. So, Deontay, what do you got? Anything? Okay.
I'm gonna check the app.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to just check out, kind of on the fly right there. We appreciate that. All right, so TJ asked this question. We have not discussed this. We discussed it quite a bit yesterday, and we kind of knew at the end of the day a little bit more about Bubba Wallace, NASCAR, and also the garage and the rope and the noose and the FBI investigation. Smokey, Paul, Craig, Deontay, I've been in and out of my vehicle. Have you all talked about the Bubba Wallace thing? I'm not a NASCAR watcher, but it's 50-50 if this will hurt the viewership, and some say that the sport is already hurting. Was just curious. He also, by the way, said, I have to go with Seastrunk. when he outruns Oklahoma State's secondary with a bad hamstring.
Yeah.
The Bubba Wallace thing, it's I was amazed. The reaction yesterday, once the FBI investigation came out, about then you had the complete other backlash. As much as there was the reporting, and some of it very sloppy on Monday.
Yeah. Now, look, Bubba Wallace did an interview today, and they asked him if he thought it was an overreaction to look into it. Look, if he saw it and he thought it was something he didn't notice.
He didn't see it.
Well, yeah, but if somebody saw it and thought it, and they, given everything that's going on, I don't think it was an overreaction to investigate. It was an overreaction in the reporting, for sure.
Immediately, which is really, first of all, it was still an amazing moment before the race. Yeah. It was an amazing moment. But does it take away any of that moment because there is now in this day and age the thought of, was that even a story? They brought in 15 FBI investigators, so they took it very seriously. There is the conspiracy theory that NASCAR needs attention. I cannot imagine that's the case. But
not everything's a conspiracy.
I know.
Either.
I can't imagine, though, that if that was something with what they decided in the investigation was there before, how somebody else could not have asked more questions, even though there's no access to ask the questions.
The problem with conspiracy theories is, like, once you get down to like the third level of who it benefits, then it starts to go off the rails. Or if you got caught, who would it benefit? I'll just give you the example of flat Earth. When there's the conspiracy, all these people think that there's a small minority of people who are a very vocal minority that the Earth is flat and it's all been a secret all this time. But who does that benefit? And also, to keep that a secret, you have to make sure that like every pilot and every boat captain and all these people are in it to what gain for them? Like, how many broke boat captains do you know? They're not reeking in this, hush money on the flat Earth. So again, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory.
What went wrong? If you could pick apart what went wrong, what went wrong?
There wasn't fair reporting of it but they just heard there's a report of this, and
NASCAR's the one that reported it, guys.
Yeah.
So it's not like CNN jumped on or Fox News and said, hey, there's this noose hanging in the... NASCAR was the one that came out and said it. NASCAR started this story. NASCAR made the statement. NASCAR made the story public. So the reporting is on them. The subsequent follow-up, we need to distinguish between what's reporting and what's commentary, because there are certain people that are reporting on the story and saying that, hey, it was actually a garage pull. Now, how somebody in NASCAR could have walked up to that garage, seen that, and not, been able to figure out for themselves, like, hey, this isn't a mini noose. This is just to pull this stupid door down like it is, in all these other stalls. Like, how that person got to the point of, I guess, believing that this was some racial thing is a little bit frightening. So, I think everybody's just being extra careful. They're extra on alert, but the initial reporting was on NASCAR, and the commentary is a totally different story, because I've seen many commentators who just refuse to believe the FBI investigation and refuse to believe that this wasn't a noose and refuse to believe, no matter how many facts are put in front of them. So, I have way more issues with the commentary and those who are using their commentary to further their agendas instead of just, talking about the actual facts in front of us. Who knows? Maybe there's some other layer to this. Maybe months and months and months ago, when this noose apparently was in this garage originally, somebody did it with racial intent. I have no idea. But, it's a story that, I don't think should make Bubba Wallace look like the next Jussie Smollett. I think that's really unfair to him, seeing as how he didn't start the story. I don't know that his comments, particularly with Don Lemon on CNN, really were that beneficial to him. I think what he said today was far more beneficial to his story. And the Don Lemon thing, I think, was where that type of story can get out of whack and go the wrong way. So I was glad to see what he actually said today, because I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth last night, but nothing towards Bubba. And my biggest thing with this whole deal is I'm glad that it wasn't a noose. I'm just really alarmed by the number of people who don't seem to be glad that it wasn't a noose, that seem to be upset that it wasn't a noose. particularly directed at Bubba Wallace. So that's what's alarming and really sad to me. I'm glad that it wasn't what we thought it was to begin with.
With the statement he released today, would that have been better for him to release that statement and say nothing until the statement was ready and not go on CNN?
I don't know, but, it's like maybe some of it's because vanity, maybe some of it's just a need to speak out. And, think about it, too. When you're going through a situation, you're not always thinking clearly the entire way, sometimes, maybe today he regrets doing that interview last night. You know what I mean? I don't know. We don't always make the right decision or handle everything the best way immediately, and this obviously was a story that blew up in a big way in about 2 days' time, and all of a sudden you go from being a guy who was more of a focus than before because of what was going on with the protest and being the only black driver to suddenly really being a story where it's directly targeted, something at you, or at least what was thought to have been targeted at him. So, who knows how we would all individually handle that, in the moment. It probably just felt like he was doing an interview to speak out on it, but, I don't think it makes him look dumb. A lot of people are, trying to put this on Bubba. It's not on him. I don't think NASCAR handled it badly either, but, certainly by releasing that statement before there was actually any evidence of what was going on, it did allow for about 24, 48 hours of agendas to run wild, and I don't think that was very good for the story.
Yet again, though, because of the FBI investigation, if you believe it, which, of course, right now nobody believes anything, and I've said I don't know if I believe anybody in media myself, but it does look as if there's another example of not fact-checking, no matter what NASCAR said. Because here's the thing. If NASCAR had popped out and said something, or if it's the NFL, media members are then supposed to go find their own information, access or not, that there's basically none. It's hard to get into these garages. The problem, yet again, is this is for someone like myself who doesn't believe anything reported, that this is yet another catastrophe and how this was reported.
But they were going off of what NASCAR reported.
But why wouldn't somebody have tried to do their own due diligence and not just the FBI investigation? Why? No, Craig, they'll find a way. They can find things. If you know that they can find sources. People that in our business, that's what we do.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that was done with the pictures of the noose from the garage that was posted multiple times by people who had taken pictures of it months before when it was the exact same way that it was found to be last week. So all I'm saying is I understand reporters can go and find their own facts, but if what you're being handed is this statement from NASCAR, who all are you going to talk to outside of the people who posted the pictures? Are you calling up a rope specialist to get their opinion on what kind of a knot it was? All I'm saying is there wasn't really a lot of interviewing and things that could be done on a reporter side of things, in my opinion, to really.
So you're not upset with how they reported that. You're upset with the commentary that went with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it immediately just took off.
Yeah.
I understand because of today's conditions, whether it was now 5-10 years ago, but it's. I still think it's very sloppy the way it was handled, with everybody who's supposed to be reporting. Now everybody's an editorialist or a columnist.
Craig's right. The NASCAR is probably kicking themselves, saying we probably shouldn't have released this story.
Are they really? You think
I'm sure they are.
I think they think this is
great.
You
think this helped the sport?
No, I don't think it.
No,
I think they're kicking themselves, saying we should have just waited until, because they could have kept it pretty quiet
exactly.
and had an investigation, and then come out and said, "Hey, we found a noose. It was put there by a hate group or whatever it was. This person got in and did this," as opposed to this is a garage pull down rope, and just because of the escalating tensions in our country, we somebody saw it, thought that it was put there for and explain it away, or not.
Instead, just not say anything. Do your FBI investigation, and then come out and say, "Hey, we found a noose. The FBI's looked into it. This was directed at Bubba Wallace." Versus, "Hey, we found a noose, but we're going to look into it."
Right.
And then coming out and saying, "Hey, it wasn't what we thought." That's where they screwed up. They threw it out there when it wasn't even anywhere near fact.
They said it wasn't a hate crime. Do you believe the FBI?
Yeah, I believe
I do.
him,
Yeah. I mean, there's a picture of this dadgum thing from 6 months
Craig,
ago.
there are some that don't because they don't want to believe
Jamel
anything.
Hill's a major one that doesn't believe that it was not something racially motivated. And, I mean, everybody's going to have their opinion. I mean, that's just one thing we got to live with. So
How can NASCAR be that stupid?
I mean, look at all the stuff going on around us, and I can ask that about everybody.
If, in fact, they had not said anything, if they had not told Bubba Wallace, if they would have not said anything, and they just had extra security around him, which he might have anyway. Hold on. You guys have said a few things. How often would it not have been, how quickly would it have been leaked out? Somebody would have talked.
Yeah, maybe so. But
How?
at least.
But because somebody was reported trying to find,
Yeah, but it was Bubba Wallace's, one of his crew guys that reported it initially.
Yes.
So, who knows? And they could have said, like, listen, Bubba, can we just figure this out I don't know. And maybe Bubba Wallace's people want to say this happened and NASCAR's trying to keep it quiet. I don't know what the best PR move was, but in hindsight, the best move would have probably been just finding out what it actually was before they said it. And if it was something that was put there as an affront, an attack on Bubba Wallace, then heck yeah, say something about
Deontay,
it.
when you heard the story and you saw the NASCAR statement, and now you saw the ending of the FBI, what was your kind of ups and downs of emotions during 24 hours?
With the state of everything going on right now, it's just like y'all were saying. It's like it's hard to put it in words. It's just like everything is scrutinized. Everything is like out there in the open, and it's possible. Like, it's a society that we need to try to realize and come to like a level playing field as far as understanding everything that's going on, getting the full story. Like, it's always been like that in the media in general, not getting the full story about stuff that's going on and just running with the first thing you see. So whether or not it was a noose or not, it's just it's a bad time. And I always like to say the read the room type thing, as far as NASCAR needing to figure out what exactly happened and before releasing it, because either way it's gonna be like it's gonna be high risk as far as everything that's going on in the world today.
50-50, people think this, people think that, and that's not beneficial. Thinking and listening is beneficial, but having something then that turns out to be not true in a situation that's so serious, yes, they needed to investigate. I understand why they did, but golly, man.
They're still investigating. NASCAR's doing their own
and
investigation.
Who knows? Maybe they'll figure it out that somebody walked in the night before and made it look even worse than it was.
Well, they're trying to figure out who tied the knot now and why it was tied the way that it was. And everybody keeps saying it was a noose. It looks like it, I guess. I'm not a rope expert. I also know a noose would close in on your hands if it's a pull down. So if it closed in on your hand when you were pulling it down, then yeah, that's a noose. If it wasn't, then that's just a loop knot. So NASCAR has a person actually saying that it was a noose. It was tied that way. It's unquestionable. So now we have to figure out why this person. They have to figure out who the person is that tied this stupid rope, and then figure out if they did it with any racial motivation.
And are there other garages with the same type of rope, same
I think
look?
that would be easy to figure out.
Well, Bubba Wallace said today that most of the ones are just a straight pull down.
We had a three-car garage, and there was a rope that we had on the one that was the singular garage, because on occasion it would break, and there was but I don't know if it wasn't like a circled noose or even a tie that you would tie something with. I don't know.
I think it's very possible is just a rope for the garage door. I also think it's possible that somebody could have taken that rope to the garage door and fashioned it in a moment of races. I don't know. But all I know is I don't think NASCAR benefited from this attention. I don't think Bubba Wallace benefited from this attention. And I think that there was still a feel-good moment over the weekend when the other drivers, walked alongside his car. It does feel a little bit like, I think just in general, that move was great to show support for Bubba Wallace being the only full-time black driver. I hate, though, that it was a moment that kind of now also has this as a part of the reason of why those guys were doing that.
That's the story now, not the other.
So I'm going to look at it as though they just did it because it was Bubba Wallace.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. I took 3 pictures the last time I was inside their business at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. And again, you get till tomorrow at noon to order your 30-pound bags of live crawfish to have them for the weekend. The last time I was there on a Saturday, I went by to get a couple of things because it's like your hometown grocery store with a butcher shop and a bakery and so much in between. And a lady was there to pick up her 30-pound bag of live crawfish. But you have to order by Thursday and then pick it up at your convenience. They're open until mid-afternoon, early evening on Saturday. But I took 3 pictures. In this picture, there are bottles of, like, for example, Worcestershire sauce, A1 sauce. There's a barbecue sauce of all different kinds and seasonings and much more. Here is just plain old simple scalloped potatoes, like kind of like Betty Crocker type hamburger helper boxes, along with different salad dressings. And then a row stacked with a bunch of different ranch beans or chili, refried beans or kernel corn or cut green beans, whatever. And that they have that too. And they've really kind of started to stack their aisles with this along the way, not just the butcher shop, not the bakery, and there's nothing wrong with that because the bakery bakes fresh bread every day. The butcher shop is where you get seafood, pork, poultry, and beef. But they have all of this along the way, plus a 4 or 5 very large window refrigerators with beer, soft drinks, milk, and more. And then even if you want a cup of coffee, you can have that as well. It's Waco Custom Marketplace, open, and it's open Monday through Saturday, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost